Ignorance is a virus. Once it starts spreading, it can only be cured by reason. For the sake of humanity, we must be that cure. Neil deGrasse Tyson. And this is the Godless Rebelution.
Meow.
It's a good one.
There we go. Someone had to do it.
Nobody knows what's going on.
I had a hard time stopping laughing before you did your little
Yeah,
quote.
that was funny.
So for those that don't realize it, or no, because I usually edit it out, Matt likes to meow before I do the quote every time we start the podcast.
That wasn't me this time, though.
No.
I took the meowing duties.
That was our guest on tonight, Temell. He's a friend of mine, now a friend of the Godless Rebelution.
Yeah, welcome.
I am blessed to be among such great connoisseurs of fine beers and Godless Rebelution here in the wonderful city of Clearfield, Utah.
What's your last name, Temell?
It's Buggs.
Buggs.
Bugs, okay.
Temell Buggs. Very unique name. A lot of teachers loved it in school.
Double G.
Double G.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
B-U-double-G-S.
So I'm Dan Ellis. We have Ryan Duffy and Matt Mitchell, as always, of course.
Here.
And Ryan's friend Temell with us, who seems to be an awesome guy. We were hanging out upstairs eating
Yeah, we
pizza
got
and
some good
drinking
chemistry
beers.
going on.
Yeah.
I've occasionally reeked of awesomeness within my life. I've heard this.
Did you say reeked of awesome?
I've heard this before. Like, yeah, you're cool. I'm like, yeah, I am.
Temell, you reek of awesomeness.
From Brooklyn, New York.
So, well, and so it's my understanding. So Ryan told me that you are married to an LDS woman.
I am married to an LDS woman.
And you are a black atheist.
Black atheist in Utah. 3 young LDS children for the moment. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty much every minority you could possibly be. I'm also a liberal in Utah. Which,
Right. If only you were a lesbian.
if only I was a lesbian, liberal, black atheist in Utah.
Every box would be checked.
But you'd have to like women to be a lesbian, so...
You're halfway there.
I'm getting there.
He just needs the surgery.
This woman's just my beard.
Well, I have a friend who is trans, and all grown. She said that going through high school and everything, everybody made fun of her because they thought she was gay. And then she had her surgery, and she's always been attracted to females, but now she's a female. She's like, so I always got made fun of in high school because everybody thought I was gay, and she's like, I guess I am, just not in the way they thought I was.
Just a woman in a man's body.
Like, I like women, but I don't like being a woman.
That's funny. So, but you were raised LDS, right?
I was raised LDS. My mother was converted in Germany very young. I think she was around 17, 18, had me when she was 16.
Oh, yeah.
So my dad joined the military, wanted to take care of his boy. And, they go out there living in Germany. She's alone all the time, doesn't know anybody, kind of a foreigner. So get some visits from the local.
The missionaries were very friendly, very welcoming, very warm.
I'm sure they had lots of
Very
nice things to say to her. I even remember, living in New York, like I said, raised LDS. Never a believer in the LDS religion, but they had the most amazing, steak center in New York City that had, robots, which back in that day, interactive, 80, a little interactive robot that you touch the screen that played videos,
yeah.
a little theater that kind of almost looked like holograms, showing you the different stories. I could see
Just to trap
where...
kids.
Yeah, I could see where a person would be fascinated.
This was
with
in
it.
Germany?
No, this was in New York.
New York.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty awesome. I will give them that.
Well, for those who don't know, so within the LDS faith, you have wards, which are, the individual congregations, and then you'll have a collection of wards that are part of a stake. And so a stake center is where people will gather for, various functions, but it's a gathering of wards within a stake. So they have ward houses that are the individual churches, and then they have stake houses that are larger.
It's it's a regional meeting house.
Yeah.
And if you want to think really large, a lot of people out in Utah are used to LDS population, but you go to New York and it's large.
Yeah.
It was a building like a mini Sears Tower. Most buildings out there are 20 to 30 stories.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not like going to Salt Lake and seeing those little buildings.
Well, and here there's a huge Mormon population, but they're so prevalent that they have a church on fucking
Every
every
corner.
block,
Yes.
and and then you have stake centers. So you go from wards to stake centers to LDS temples are their largest buildings. Apart from the conference center and the LDS church office buildings downtown that are
Encino,
the big dick building,
Yeah.
the cock and balls.
Yeah.
With the giant globe on the outside of it. It's like, you're planning world domination.
Well, and have you noticed that it looks like a giant cock and balls out there? It's got the two smaller buildings on either side, and then the main
building itself, yeah.
It's
I
got
think
the
traditionally-
glorious white shaft there in the middle.
Traditionally, most religions seem to have that phallic kind of symbolism going on. I remember working in Salt Lake, when they first took over Main Street. And even thinking back then, like, these guys are trying to build up their own little Vatican City there in the middle of Salt Lake City. They slowly start buying up, the Salt Lake Mall.
Yeah.
And start buying the buildings around it, have their own special security force. I mean, it's
It basically
interesting
is a mini
observation.
Vatican.
Yeah, yeah, it really
And
is.
they're looking to
they
expand.
they'll kick
Yeah.
people out of there for various things.
Oh, yeah.
and-
So what's your atheist history? I mean, how did you get to?
Atheist history, I guess. I've always kind of been atheist. I was just one of those skeptical little children.
Okay.
I remember going to elementary school, telling people that there was no Santa Claus, that it was something that your parents made up. And that's where I first experienced my "I will be threatened" for thinking different things. My parents said, "Hey, you're not going to get any Christmas presents if you keep telling people that there is no Santa Claus."
Right.
I guess I was always a really curious kid. Like, I look at things and I'm like, well, they're telling me one reason, but I'm observing something else. Even when it came to, problems between my mom and dad, they're divorced now, but it was like I was always noticing different little things when I was a kid that I guess other children were too busy playing to look at. I was always curious, had questions, and when I had questions, I just looked stuff up and research.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, at what age did you kind of start identifying as an atheist?
Well, I started identifying as an agnostic, which I think I started identifying as an agnostic probably around 16, 17. Then, a little bit thinking, I was probably always an atheist, but I was just borderline. I wanted to not be I was kind of the passive-aggressive atheist, like, oh, yeah, there could be a God, I'm agnostic. But in all reality, I was probably, I really didn't believe there was anything else. I just didn't want to tread on somebody else.
Yeah. Well, and we've had that discussion on the podcast a few times that, there's a belief in a God and then there's everything else. If you believe in a God, you're a theist. Everything else, you're an atheist. If you don't believe in a God, by default, you're an atheist.
Yeah.
But I also like to say
People-
that we're all born atheist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
reality, until your parents
with any
choose for
knowledge
you.
of God.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, till
you're taught that.
taught
Yeah.
what to believe and indoctrinated into what they think is right. Yeah.
Which is, oddly enough, they don't want children around a lot of different things when they're young, except for church.
Yeah.
It's okay that you bring them here for this, but
Yeah.
you often ask yourself, what's the difference between a cult and a church? Is it just how extreme they go on their beliefs?
The number of
Is
members.
it-
Yeah, the number of members. Yeah.
I mean,
followers.
Well, but it kills me that the reverse isn't true. Like, it's perfectly fine to take little kids to church and have them indoctrinated and work on coloring books and tell them Jesus loves them and all that kind of bullshit. But to go in the opposite direction and tell kids, no, there isn't a God, I'm an atheist, tell them why you think what you do or whatever, people freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do that to little kids.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very true. And even like my mother, I made it a point to not teach my children about Santa Claus. I never talked about Santa Claus, never talked about the Easter Bunny. I'm like, I'm not going to ruin your parents' or your mom's parade, your grandma's parade, but I'm not going to act like they mentioned Santa Claus. I'm like, okay.
Cool story, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that sounds nice. Now tell me what you want for Christmas. And I'd even get grief because I'd say, hey, what do you want me to get you for Christmas? Because I made it a point to know this is coming from me.
Me.
Daddy's working, daddy's buying your toy, daddy's getting you the laptop or the clothes or whatever. So Santa Claus, we don't have a chimney, but
I always wondered that when I was a kid living somewhere without a fireplace. Like,
Right.
Fuck
How
we
does
don't
that-
have,
how
we
does
don't
that
have
work?
a
Yeah.
chimney. How does
Yeah.
he get in here?
I think I'd actually asked my parents that as a kid, and I did not know what the response was.
Yeah, I remember thinking that too. Yeah.
I remember my kids asking me the same thing when we lived in an apartment in Layton. And I was like, oh, well, we have this. Why would you need a chimney? We have this balcony out here with a great sliding door. You can just come in that
You
way.
guys didn't have to squeeze.
Or the front. I don't know. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, why the fuck wouldn't I even just say the front door?
Yeah.
well, the thing, and another thing to me is like, you don't have to have Santa Claus to have a good Christmas. Christmas
No.
was one of my favorite holidays. I loved being around my family,
Yeah.
making the cookies. I love giving gifts. I mean, especially as you get older, it's not as much about what you get. Dads get very little. But I'm just saying, it was always a pleasure for me. Hey, you've been waiting all year. This is the thing that I'm giving you. And I mean, it's a great holiday. Pageantry, looking at trees, looking at the lights without needing to have a story at the end.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and we talked about this last week a little bit, that none of the Christmas traditions that we all celebrate really have anything to do with religion.
With Christianity.
It's
Yeah.
we
Well,
decorate a tree.
paganism.
Well, yeah.
But not Christianity.
Not Christianity, sure. I mean, we decorate a tree, we put a wreath up, we do lights, have stockings, all that kind of shit. None of that says anything about Christianity.
Right, because we talked about Jeremiah 10:3 last week, which is actually a
Don't decorate them trees.
yeah, it's actually a condemnation for bringing trees in and decorating them, because
Right.
that was the pagan ritual.
Well, even lighting of a tree, that was a commercialization thing, trying to sell more product during the Christmas season. So that
You
was
need to have your Coca-Cola.
Right, and in fact, the lighting of the tree didn't even catch on in the United States until the 1900s.
and there was actually a time when Christmas was banned in the United States.
Yeah, so
So do your kids believe in Santa, or did they ever believe in Santa? Or
I don't know if they thoroughly believed in it. I mean, I'm pretty close to my children and honest about a lot of things. Like, I won't say, hey, there is no Santa. They tell me now they don't believe in Santa, but I would relay things back to them, like, so he's traveling the whole world, huh? He knows if you've been good. Like, I try to get him to think about it a little bit. I don't want to, you try to force somebody to water, you're not going to make them drink.
Yeah.
You got to give, implant that thirst within them, is
Yeah.
what I try to do. I mean, with science, with philosophy, everything. I try to make sure my kids, I read them like a science book every night. They have these little big book of hows, whys, and I'll just read them a different chapter each night to try to educate them, make them have an interest in science, because it seems like science and religion aren't really mixing. Like,
yeah, they're
ever.
not. They're not
They
all that
pretend to,
compatible.
though.
Yeah.
They do. I mean, if you get the right Christian scientist, if you have Ken Ham, it's mixing. It's being mixed in a bad way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and how old are your kids?
My oldest kid is 15. She'll be 16 in December, 13 and 11.
You're gonna have a big spike in your driver's insurance coming up here pretty soon, man.
Well, they're great students.
But she's
Smart
a girl
girls,
too,
yep.
and their insurance is a lot cheaper than boys.
And I am just buying them a car. Like, there's not going to be payments on this. It's liability.
yeah, yeah.
You reckon it's gone.
Yeah, that's
Better take
it's out
care of
there.
it, because
At least Dad knows how to fix things. So
well, and that's cool too. Yeah, I kind of did the same thing with my kids. Like, okay, we'll get you a car, but we're getting you one. You get one car. If you fuck it up, you got to get another one.
yeah, that's
And then you'll also have to start paying your insurance, because I'm not paying for that spike.
right. Well, I think it's not exactly a hard hitting podcast, but I have a tougher question for you. But let's hit a game first.
Oh yeah, I've got all
and then-
kinds of questions for you.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I love tough questions. Like, I plead the fifth.
well, maybe it's not even that hard hitting. Then I don't know. It's just real. It's just
I
a
try
real
to be
question.
somewhat blunt, and
Yeah, no, it's just a real question. But you've been totally cool. I think it'll be just fine. All
Yeah.
right, so let's hit a game, and then we'll get to that.
What are we playing first?
Ah, man, I have so many games this week. But let's go with
does
the.
this like have game music? Because there doo-doo.
Matt was unaware that we were going to have a guest.
I was not.
I
Yeah,
didn't communicate
I was not
that very
informed
well.
We would have a guest, but that's okay.
Well, we can save some for
No,
next week as well.
It's
Yeah, I didn't send you the text. I was texting.
We got more than enough.
it's okay because
Damn.
I was uninformed of the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this,
We, by the way, we play some games on this show.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Duffy.
You're welcome.
we'll start out with a regular feature called Who Said It. This will be a
I
game where
love Who Said It.
I provide you a quote from a less than obscure atheist,
Let's-
and I'll give you three. There are three possible clues to help
okay.
you identify the.
multiple choice. Very American.
Okay.
Well, it's not multiple choice. You get three clues to help you.
three
And then it goes to the
clues.
next person if they want to do it in two, and then it goes to the
Right,
next person if they want
okay,
to do it in
so-
one, they can pass it to you.
So the way it would work was like if I start with Duffy, then I would give him the quote and say, "There's three clues, and there's also two works done by this person." So he could say, "I want three," which would give him all three clues, or he could say, by the quote, I know who it is, so I'm going to say -2, which means he's going to name the person and their works.
And then it would go
And
to
then it would go
whoever's
to
next,
him,
and
and so he could either say, so Dan could either say, I'm going to go whatever's greater than what he said, or he could tell him to name the person.
yeah.
And then I'd give
But
him
if I get it
information.
wrong, he gets the
So
noodles.
we'll start with Duffy, and then we'll go around, and I think
Yeah, and
I
we-
think
I'll
by
get the
then
feel for it.
you'll probably
we,
get it.
And we award noodles.
And it's
instead of
noodles
points.
in honor of the flying spaghetti monster
Oh, nice.
instead of points.
So they're like ramen noodles, spaghetti noodles.
All
yeah,
kinds of
well,
noodles.
yeah.
Flying
Sometimes it's
spaghetti
rigatoni.
Yeah.
I enjoy a fine pasta. I like the wheat ones, but
Yeah, wheat's good. Wheat pasta's good.
Yeah.
All right, you ready, Ryan?
I'm never ready for this.
Yeah,
let's
that's
go.
true.
I'm horrible at names.
But you do better at this game than the next game I have coming up, which we haven't played for a while. So
Read scripture.
yeah.
no.
All right.
I lose.
Here's your who said it quote.
All right.
The only difference between screwing around and science is writing it down. Think explosions.
Explosions.
That was a hint right there. You got
That's going with
That was a bonus hint.
with a bonus hint of Big Bang. I'm going with. Definitely going with the guy who was a scientist.
Well, are
because
you gonna? So how many
There
clues are you
there are
willing to
3
need?
clues and 2 works.
3
So
clues, 2 works.
You could go -2 on the works, but there are 3 clues.
2.
You're going to go 2 on that. Okay. All right, Dan. Do you need to hear the quote again?
No, I'll have him name it in 2.
Have him name it in 2?
Yeah.
All right, Ray. Your quote is, the only difference between screwing around in science is writing it down. Think explosions. Clue number 1, born July 15, 1967, New York, New York.
1967, New York. Okay.
Mhm. Number 2, spouse, Julia.
You always give the fucking spouses. Like I don't.
What's her last name?
I don't even know my friends' spouses.
Her last name is Savage.
You always say his fucking name, not Ben. Ben Savage? No, that's someone. That's an actor.
Okay, so Ryan's out.
Fuck! I know his name. I know him. I know him.
Noodles for me.
Noodles for Dan.
Is it Adam
It
Savage?
is Adam. It is Adam Savage of
Nice.
MythBusters. Think explosions. Ryan.
Oh, I was thinking different explosions.
Yeah,
I was
you
thinking
were.
like
And I was thinking different
I wanted
Savage.
to help you,
H-bomb.
but I thought that was already a good clue.
What if
Well-
you've only seen like 2 episodes of MythBusters during Shark Week?
I know.
Yeah, and you know you're at a really unfair advantage because we've been doing this for a while, so these are getting tougher and tougher.
That's fine. I can
We've
deal
kinda
with
went
loss. I
through-
rebuild
Now, like-
from it.
Carrie and
And
Tori
it
and
doesn't
the other guy are all
yeah,
off the show now.
they're not on the show
They're
anymore.
done.
Yeah. All
It
right.
always
Well,
seemed like an
Carrie
interesting
Byron,
show. For
Tori
some reason, I just
Belici,
never
and-
really.
it's a good
Oh,
show.
I
I
was-
like it a lot.
I mean, I like
Yeah,
the
it's good.
concept. Obviously, I mean,
a good
I
show.
love engineering,
Grant Imahara.
electrical.
Grant, yeah.
All right, so Dan's got 1 noodle.
Fuck him.
Should we
I
should
got
we play
a
a
noodle.
little bit more, and then get back to the questions?
Yeah. That way we can have Temell decide if he wants to do it or make
Yeah.
me name it.
Oh,
Right.
sounds
Yeah,
great.
yeah. He hasn't.
I also
got
have
to
a couple
play
of news things tonight too. We can cover.
it. Okay.
Yes.
I love news.
I like to do
Let's,
the newses.
Let's start with this one because then everyone can play. Let's play a little Bible, Book of Mormon, or Quran. I haven't played that in a while.
okay.
Oh,
I haven't played that in a while.
confusing because they're all so similar.
Does it
I know,
involve
I-
headwear?
And which
Well, I'll tell
which
you what.
version of the Bible are we using again? Is this the King
It
James or the
depends.
NIV?
It depends on which one.
Ooh.
I have to.
You
do a
mix
lot
it
of-
up?
Yeah.
Book of Abraham.
Fucker.
I know. I have to do a lot of research to make sure that these are not straightforward. By the way, I won't use anything like Jesus or Allah or anything. It's all God. Everything's God, so that way it doesn't give it away. All right. The first passage is, and it came to pass that when Coriantumr had leaned upon his sword, that he rested a little, and then he smote off the head of Shiz.
Shiz like shit.
Book of Mormon.
It is Book of
that's what I
Mormon.
was
Of course, it is
going.
when it came to pass.
Very good. That's a great clue. All right, noodles for
That
Temell.
was a good
I got
clue.
some noodles.
Got some noodles. That sounds dirty for some reason.
And is this so? I can't remember. Is this? Do we shout out the answer?
This
do we
is,
need
my
to
bad.
listen,
Like
or
a
do we-
Jeopardy
Oh
style.
no! I
Like a-
don't remember.
Yep, he was right.
Okay.
Yep, it's like
Jeopardy,
Answer first.
like go
Yeah.
go for it.
You just
Yep.
if you know,
Fucking
you
yell.
say it. Yeah. Okay.
all right. Second one is the non-believers are your sworn enemies.
Quran.
That was gonna.
Noodles for
Yeah.
Temell.
Ding, ding,
He
ding.
was fast on that one.
Now I kind of feel bad because he's killing you guys.
No, that was good.
And he thought he wasn't going to do good at this one.
Well, the other one with the quotes. I mean, I know some quotes.
Yeah. Okay. Number 3, you will not attain righteousness until you spend it in charity of the things you love.
The Bible.
Yeah.
It is not the Bible.
Not
The
the
Book of Mormon.
Quran.
No noodles for anybody on that one. It was the Quran.
Hey, I never said
I thought you said
anything.
Book of
Ryan
Mormon.
got-
Okay,
Ryan
Ryan
got
got
No,
it. Ryan
I waited till they said the first two.
waited
and I
for
said,
us.
Ryan's like, none of those were the answer. I know what it is.
All right, so Duffy wins by default.
There was no ye.
But they all three have subjects like that in it, don't they? Even the Book
Yeah.
of Mormon talk
Yeah, they
about
do.
Oh, yeah.
getting
They do.
rid of possessions to be more
Yeah.
holy.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Book of Mormon is just 10% of your possessions to be more holy.
Well, the Book of
Yeah.
Mormon, basically, it talks about giving everything to the church.
Yeah.
And then
Well, that
you
sounds
can
like a
still
great
attain
philosophy.
wealth.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
church address is.
Just right. Church office building, Salt Lake City. It'll get there.
All right, number 4.
Okay.
The warriors captured 10,000 alive and brought them to the top of a cliff and threw them down so they were all dashed to pieces.
Bible?
It is the Bible. Noodles for Ryan.
I almost kind of wanted to go Quran, but then I'd like
I
that
was
might be a
gonna
trick
Quran on
mix.
that one.
I try to make it really tricky. Like
Yeah.
it's
There's a lot of murdering going on in the Bible.
Oh, I know this.
And I know I remember the one
and
with
Book of
the
Mormon
armies
and the
being.
Quran. All 3 of them have a lot of that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they have a lot of peaceful verses as well.
Well, I just remember I remember a passage where it was basically talking about an army being captured and dashed
Now
upon the
the-
rocks.
Yeah, the dashed.
Are the peaceful
part, yeah.
versus the stonings, or yeah, we decided not to go mass murder, just take it down to individual.
It's just really talking about
Right.
Sodom and Gomorrah before it got destroyed. All the
All right,
fun
let's-
they had.
That's really an interesting story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Just
Yeah.
not off key. I mean, I'm just saying, like, people never focus on the part where they offered up his daughters.
Yes.
like
Right,
rape
yeah.
them,
Right.
Here, yeah.
Instead of this male
not
stranger,
these men.
Rape my
have
two virgin daughters.
Yeah, instead of the strange
They're
man.
better.
Right.
And then was it his
Yeah, it's
wife
bizarre.
that looked back and got turned to salt?
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck turns around and gets turned to salt?
Well, it's obviously
Like
written,
talking bushes.
obviously written by men.
Yes, because the
Yeah.
woman couldn't
I
bear
believe
to
God
look.
has a
Doing what
no-look
she's told.
policy.
God damn it.
He does. God has a no-look policy. Absolutely, he does. That's throughout.
No look, no
That's
touch,
a through
no
line
eat.
for all of the scriptures. Yes. All right, let's do one more of these, and then we'll get back to questions.
Hard-hitting
Hard,
questions.
and probably not now anymore. I feel like it's not going to even be that big of a deal after all that.
We always go lighthearted to hard and then light to hard.
It's like
Like
my,
a good porn.
It's like the it's like the crying
have that warm
moment, like my Jerry Maguire, show me the money. Like,
Yeah.
They just signed me to a big contract.
Right. Okay. Is it better to live alone? Oh, no, sorry. I'll restart. It is better to live alone in the desert than with a crabby, complaining wife.
Quran?
It is not the Quran.
Al Bundy.
It is Al Bundy. Noodles. Also, I also award noodles for creative
For
and
comedy,
hilarious answers, so you do get a noodle for that.
Sweet.
That was Al Bundy.
Noodled up.
It's actually not.
I'm going to say the Bible.
It is the Bible. Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
it was either the
it
Bible
should have
or
been
the
the Bible because
Quran.
I forgot about the hatred of seafood.
And I was going to say... Crabby wife. I was going to say just because...
Nice.
I said Bible because my first thought was the Book of Mormon because it had to do with misogyny, but then
The desert.
you like to be tricky, so...
Yeah, but all 3 of those books are pretty misogynistic.
Oh, sure.
So,
I think pretty much most of life is that.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay. I was just wondering what it's like to be living in Utah as not just as a black man, but as a black atheist. Because to me, I mean, it just.
You're kind of a unicorn here in Utah.
Oh, I know
a little bit, you know, and I'm not trying to pull the race card or anything. But
no.
I mean, I know just as being an atheist, and I'm privileged as being a white.
Mm-hmm. Trust me, I love the race card, and it's one of those things I think need to be discussed.
Yeah, of course, it's necessary.
I can say it's definitely infuriating in general. I mean, it's infuriating to be a black guy and kind of observe some of the things that are going on. Ferguson situation, not necessarily wanting to get into all of that stuff, but I mean, you constantly see things where, as a black person in Utah, not many black people, even where I work, it's like there's always a little bit of an extra spotlight on you. When people know, because I mean, I'm not shy about it. If somebody asks me at work, my beliefs, people have their religious beliefs, so they know I'm an atheist, then it's like I get the extra looks. It's like, this is the super crazy one liberal man in Utah, black guy working on a base full of military conservative people.
Yeah.
And it is a constant headache.
Well, I even hate that. Working on base, too, people think, oh, you're in Utah and you work on a base, you're conservative, right?
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm actually a liberal fucking atheist.
Yeah.
I mean, like when you have things like the Trayvon Martin situation, and I'm sitting there listening to people trying to rationalize and tell me how an 18-year-old kid is a thug, and how any person who had somebody following them on the way to their home isn't going to react when that person gets out of the car.
Yep.
I mean, if you don't look at the news, what do you think people believe? I mean, you're a black kid. Maybe this guy's raping me. Maybe he's going to Jeffrey Dahmer me.
Right.
If I got enough size, I am going to fight back.
Yeah.
And
Dude,
that
you're
man tracked down
fucking
and
strange
killed a
dude
child.
following you,
Yeah,
and then gets out of his
exactly.
car and confronts you. What the fuck would anybody
some
do?
middle-aged fucking police academy dropout is following. You're fucking 17. I would have tried to fight that son of a bitch.
Yeah,
You've
that's what
done
I'm saying.
nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And I've been followed
No,
here in Utah. I mean, like, I
agree.
used to go play basketball in Roy. I'd take the bus home, just walk home. And I just had people, like, drive by, look at me slow, and...
Like, think you're up to something.
What am I doing? I mean, they weren't police. They're just, like, guys in trucks. I remember when I worked at McDonald's in Roy, somebody drove by. I was sitting there waiting for the bus stop, and they're like, go back to your country. Or go back where you came from, and I'm like, I'm trying to head home right now.
Trying to get there, motherfucker. Have a
I'm
good
just
night.
saying, I mean, it's a constant, it's a balance of tongue biting, and then at the same time, the thing that I like to talk about that I don't like people focus on are people like black people that are humble and quiet. When you have an attitude and you're somewhat cocky, like a Kanye West, even though he says dumb things, but people seem to have a problem with black people that don't just accept the way that you're going to treat them.
Right.
Well,
they don't want you to, just like atheists. I'm not trying to compare the plight or anything like that, but I'm just saying that in that one sense, there's a comparison, because they want atheists that are going to accept the status quo and just shut up and let everything happen in the oppressive manner that it's been going along.
Like when you look at that Florida situation where the mayor was holding that meeting and just barely made that, I think it was probably a week ago, kicked the guy out of the meeting because he refused to stand during the prayer.
Yes.
Right.
Well, and I can only imagine the burden or the way you must feel self-conscious being, a black man in Utah, that you're viewed as like a representative of all black people, because there are so few black people in Utah that everybody's like, oh, well,
Well, I always get that you're one of the good ones. I'm like, do you know any of the other ones? I'm like, they'll say, oh, you keep yourself clean, you're respectable. I'm like, just because, when I was 17, 18, I had an afro. You go through trends. You had a mullet probably at some point. Dude,
I had a kick-ass mullet.
Yeah, when I was 17, I had hair to my shoulders dyed multiple colors. Now I'm just bald.
Yeah, I'm like, you can't really just judge a person by their experience or by their appearance. It's like, people forget that they were young. And that's what I think it is. I think as atheists, you kind of look at overall history. Like, you remember when you were young, you remember kind of how you were thinking then, and then other people just want to act like they're the way that they are now all the time.
They've always been.
They were always like this.
Yeah,
I never did anything stupid. I never made mistakes. I never, I kind of always get around to like the legalization of marijuana and stuff, but you're throwing kids in freaking prison for years for having a joint.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it depends on the kid. I mean, that kind of comes back to the black thing again. You have the guy in Texas who's making pot brownies, and they're doing everything they can to minimize it because as much as they caught him with is what they normally would throw a black person in for life.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they just. I
But
saw.
they're trying to make it a little bit better for him. But I mean, that should be everybody.
Well,
I don't care who you are.
I think all of this is summed up by what you just said with "you're one of the good ones."
Yeah.
Just the phrasing of that made me shudder.
Well, I would say the weirdest thing to me that I experience is a lot of people that are older, and then they want to tell me stories about black people they knew. Like, it's going to make us relate. Like, I remember there's a black kid in my school back in 1945. Really? Like, I'm just a person.
Jimmy?
You
Yeah,
can just
I know.
talk to me.
I'm someone else. Like, I didn't. Yeah.
I mean, you can always kind of tell the people that have a little of an issue with it because people that meet me and have no problem with it, it's just a conversation you would have with a regular person. It's, you don't need to reference other black people to me. It's not a checklist of, do you know this one?
Well, even that.
I have a resume.
The way you said just talking to a regular person, like that bothers me too. Like, just one of the good ones, or it's just like a conversation you have with a regular person. Like, what?
And that's what I'm saying.
That stuff makes me shiver a little bit. Like,
people are trying to separate themselves. It's constantly, I try to relate it like an elementary school mentality. They want these things to be in a group. Oranges over here, apples over here, but we're really all the same.
Yeah.
We're all edibles.
I agree, but
We're
I
all
just,
perishables.
right. It's just that terminology, and it just
Well, and that's what I'm saying. And I understand that the people are trying to be nice and respectful. I think that's where you kind of get the he talks well. Somewhat. I mean, they might not realize that they're entrenched in this, that this is something that they've grown up around.
Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, it kind of speaks to their privilege that they. I mean, and I think,
for sure.
And I think sometimes people are well intentioned and they just don't even necessarily have the vocabulary to express how they're feeling or what they want to say, or to they want to let you know that they're comfortable and that it's not an issue, but then they make it an issue, and so.
Well, yeah, I was just. But doesn't it also speak to the fact that they're trying to do something they really aren't comfortable with?
And that's what I'm saying. That's where you got to kind of,
because that's that phraseology would never occur to me.
But they might not be experienced with it because they're not exposed to it. And that's what I'm saying. You live kind of this cultured life. So if you get a chance to meet somebody and maybe you can express yourself without worrying that, hey, they're judging me, that, you can kind of realize, well, hey, I kind of got this friendship going. This is just a regular dude.
Yeah.
We're all the same. One of those cheesy kind of after school specials. But I mean, I think if you go at the person, and I mean, like I said, I try to be really accepting, try to take, be really patient with people. And then maybe they will.
That's because you're one of the good ones.
I know.
that even made me uncomfortable. But I know. But yeah, no, I know.
It's almost. It really is a silly word pressure because anytime I see a little kid at the store, it's almost like I might be the one black kid this kid sees.
Yeah.
I want to be nice to them. I'm going to wave. I'm going to be happy.
Well, and that's why I was saying I can't imagine the kind of burden that comes with it, especially in a state like Utah where. There aren't a lot of black people here.
I will tell you an absolutely hilarious story, and it's a story about being a bad youth. But I was going to North Davis Junior High, and I was walking down the street. I'm just a silly kid. I take and throw a can in the middle of the street. And this is where I think that sometimes white people don't necessarily think about this. So this car hits it. I guess, their freaking headlight goes out. I'm in school the next day, and I get called out of the principal's office.
Because
there was a man who said that there was a kid who went to this school who threw a can in the street. And I guess they rounded up however many black kids there were. And he's like, yeah, that's the one.
Oh, man.
Parents had to pay like $20 for a new headlight. But I'm just saying, imagine really? That's not a white kid. They're not going to go, well, I saw a blonde-headed kid. And then they're going to round up 50?
No, they don't. Yeah,
if it was just that nice Mormon kid that did it, the nice white Mormon kid, I'm like, he's just.
Well, I'm just saying, I think
they
that
would never know.
Once in a while, that's the thing that, like, necessarily they talk about this thing called white privilege, where it's things that white people never have to deal with. No one's ever going to grab all the white kids and bring them up to the street and pick out the headlight.
I don't think any of the three of us white men would ever deny that there was white privilege. I mean, it doesn't have to
some
be
people
it's this thing called. I think we all. I think all three of us acknowledge and don't agree with it.
Well, I'm saying it's almost like the same war on religion crowd as the same white no white privilege.
Yeah.
crowd.
Why isn't
sure.
They're more about
there's-
reverse racism.
There's a BET.
Sure.
Why isn't there a WET?
Yeah.
Yes.
that
yes.
kind of
So
I've
bullshit.
heard that one before.
And it's the
Yeah.
same shit we heard.
Why do we have
Yeah,
Black
that's-
History Month?
yeah.
Where's a White History Month?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
dude,
Like every other,
Yeah.
the all the other except for 28 days is white.
Yeah, well, and
no,
it's
I know.
the same thing with the
Yeah,
LGBT
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's
that too. Yeah,
it's that same shit. Well, why isn't there a straight Pride Day and a
And that's
straight
one of those
Pride
things that
parade?
also kind of bothers
Right.
me because, when black people don't want to stand up for the homosexual crowd, the LGBT crowd, it's like, they want to say it's not civil rights, but it is civil rights.
Yeah.
It's about
Yeah,
the
it is.
rights of an
It is.
individual. Your federal government is supposed to protect you as a person from these people that view you as the other.
Yeah.
all of the minorities from the majority.
Well,
Yeah.
and especially when we start talking about things like marriage equality.
Yes.
Yes.
It wasn't until was it 56 that interracial couples could be married legally?
It was like 2 years ago in Georgia, I believe.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yes, honestly.
Yeah.
I tell my children, I'm like, your mixed race children, this was illegal. God didn't like
Yep.
this.
Right. Right.
And the
I
religious
think
people.
was it 50? I think it seems like it was late. It had to have been later.
Was
than
it even
that.
later than that?
Yeah, because MLK was 65.
Well, there was a state
I
that,
don't
3-4 years ago, finally outlawed slavery. I mean, it's been on the books
Yeah,
forever. It's
on
one of
the-
those things
I
that
think
get
that was
around.
Mississippi, wasn't it?
yeah.
Oh, well.
Like, oh, we
Like, you
forgot to
can't
take-
own them.
Oh, we forgot. It's been on the book. It just
We
slipped
got
our
to
minds.
cross that T.
Whoops.
Oops, sorry about that.
Yeah, that,
I think that was Mississippi.
yeah, well, I'm not. If you'd have said Alabama, I wouldn't have been surprised either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just pretty much. It's always the South.
One of the-
It's
one
just
of the
like
southern
it's
states.
nowadays always Florida with the crazy
Yeah.
eating faces or
Ugh,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
the crazy story. I mean, it's silly. I don't know if you guys heard it, where the woman was with her husband on a jet ski and they got in an argument because she caught him giving another guy a BJ. Oral sex.
Yeah.
Some of that.
They're talking
repressed
about this
kinda-
while they're on the jet ski?
Oh no, she saw him doing it while she's riding the jet ski. He's riding her back. He ended
okay.
up killing her. Well, not killing her.
Oh,
like he pushed. She got on, got in an argument. He pushed her off. She got back on, got in an argument, pushed her off. Ended up I guess she went out to the buoy and had head damage and died.
Like, were they on separate jet skis? Or
They were on the same jet ski.
Oh, wow.
But I mean, it's just crazy because that's one of those things when you talk about the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community. I mean, people always want to say that it's a choice that you're gay. I'm like, what kind of person,
No.
especially in the 80s, would want to put yourself
Oh, man.
through the type of pain that
I
is?
love when people tell me that it's a fucking choice.
Yeah, that's
Because instantly I ask them, well, all right, when did you make the choice to date people exclusively of the opposite sex?
Yeah.
When did you decide to set aside your attraction to other men and date women exclusively?
like, oh, I'm just gonna.
well, I've never been attracted to other men. Oh, so it wasn't a choice for you.
Yes.
That's what I say to guys at work all the time. We're like, fuck, that's disgusting. How do they do that? I'm like, when did you choose to be straight? When
I
did you
almost find
choose
it
to like
hilarious
women?
that there's people in this day and age that actually say that's disgusting.
Yeah, like that's
Yeah, that's just crazy.
And like I
I'm
say,
like-
that's my favorite thing that somebody who's bigoted against the LGBT community will say to me is that it's a choice. I'm like,
No.
this is going to be fun.
That's the thing, and that's one of those other things since I was a kid. I remember as a little kid living in Boston and talking about the Two Live Crew, banning the Two Live Crew because of the.
I remember when they were doing that.
But at the same time,
As
they were
nasty as
talking
They
about
Wanna Be came out.
homosexuals, and I'm like, well, why would that be illegal? It never made sense to me, even as a kid. I remember when moving to Utah, my mom got remarried after my parents got divorced. I had a stepdad who I hated named Dan. And then I had a step uncle who looked just like him named Dane, who was gay.
Dan and Dane.
Yeah, it was the most hilarious thing. It was like almost it was like the reverse
Your
of Dan.
doppelganger. He's entered from an alternate universe.
But I mean, that man was always just the nicest man to me, always polite. I mean, I'm like, why would I not want Dane to be happy? Dane, I love. I can't stand Dan, but I love my gay Uncle Dane.
yeah.
So I got some interracial marriage statistics here for you.
Nice.
Okay, let's hear 'em.
If you can marry,
Does it include Kardashians?
if you can imagine,
Is it only interracial if one's white? I'm just joking.
What's the percentage of black Armenian marriages in the country?
Yeah.
if you can imagine the dividing line of the Civil War, Just
You're
think about
talking
that real
geographically?
quick. Geographically, north versus south.
The Mason-Dixon line.
The North had it repealed in 1887.
Holy shit.
The entire western half of the United States, basically Mississippi West, besides like Texas, had it repealed between 1948 and 1967. It wasn't the South, who was majority the part of the Confederacy during the Civil War, who had it overturned in 1967 by the Supreme Court.
He's not talking about it's the South, but it's fucking Virginia to Texas.
Jesus.
Yeah, when I say South,
It's
Oh,
way.
yeah. Well, you know Virginia's.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Anywhere that they're like Duck Dynasty. It's
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to talk about Phil Roberts.
No.
Yeah, we are. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy in
So-
particular.
So I don't know. Is there no federal law on interracial marriage?
No, I don't
It's
think so.
all
think
just
it-
states' laws.
I don't think
Well,
it's
no,
one of
it
those
is.
states' rights things, which, I mean, when they talk about states' rights, it's always code. It's like basically saying, we want to discriminate. You shouldn't be able to tell us not.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
actually, it was,
well, and so I'm
it was
wondering, like, is there a,
1967
It's a delegated
Supreme
right,
Court
just like-
decision that determined anti-misogynistic laws to be unconstitutional, with many states choosing to legalize interracial marriages at the same at a much earlier date. Anti-misogynistic laws have played a large role in defining racial identity and enforcing the racial hierarchy.
misogynistic laws?
Yeah, that's what they said. Anti-misogynistic laws is basically what part that the Supreme
Does
Court
misogyny
passed.
have another definition that I'm unaware of? Like I'm imagining.
Well, unless they're trying to take all of the power away from rich white men.
You know, it's kind of just hilarious just when you're mentioning that thing. You know, you kind of think about how some people seem to have, the moment they stop doing something, it didn't exist. And you want to criticize people for apartheid in South Africa, but at the same time, your country has how many years of the
exact
same
same
history.
thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But you're better than them. Or
Right.
now that we're not torturing people anymore, these guys, we're better than them.
Right.
It's one of those interesting...
Well, we were talking about
Or
Jim
how-
Jeffries earlier, and he was on his latest stand-up. He was talking about talking to somebody from South Africa, and he's like, "They're a bunch of fucking cunts." Talking
Yeah,
about
because of apartheid.
because of apartheid.
Right.
Yeah. You're a white person from South.
You've
from
never
South
done
Africa.
anything wrong. Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Have you heard a little thing about apartheid?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Or like how and I'm not at all pro Saddam Hussein, but I'm just saying when he decided to invade and occupy a neighboring country called Kuwait, America had a fit. We've been all over the fucking world for centuries, occupying countries.
I think we got leftovers to show.
Yeah. Well, we're still doing it. We're still yeah, exactly.
But Saddam was also doing ethnic cleansing.
Yeah.
Right.
Was he
Which
doing
is
it at the
so
time that he
different
was
than what the
being-
U.S. is doing?
Well, we aren't actually like
We give them
having
their own
mass
land, and they can set up
graves of
casinos
people.
now.
Was he doing ethnic cleansing when he was being supported by our government?
There's a joke
I know
there.
that I know that they worked with Muammar
I just
Gaddafi after he shot down a plane. So I'm just saying, it's not like we're the cleanest of hands.
No, of course not.
I mean, we don't like people that are trying to, eradicate different people unless we need them and they have
Yeah.
gas or
Hell.
oil.
Yeah.
Look, everyone's just as guilty as everyone
we've
else.
installed in
And
the
there's
That's what I'm
no-
saying. And I kind of heard that quote earlier today, which made sense to me. No country is clean, which is very
Right.
true.
No.
I think that the way that you judge these countries and the way that we judge ourselves
Except maybe
are
Canada.
what our people do.
Yeah.
Like, do you sit there and turn your head and accept it and say, I'm glad it's not me? Or do you raise your voice and try to do something about it?
Yeah.
I had actually seen a social experiment online where there's guys from Russia that did it, but they did it in Russia where the guy
that
would
scares me already.
the guy would lay on the ground and pretend to be in pain. And in Russia, he maybe would have one person stop by him every 4 hours. He did the same experiment in America. Every person that would walk by the first time stopped and grabbed and said, "Hey, man, you all right? You need to go to the hospital." What's
But
wrong
what
with
city
you?
was he in?
Yeah.
Los Angeles.
Because if you were in New
No
York,
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
people do that
Yeah.
stuff to get scammed.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
here
yeah.
in Utah,
Yeah.
you have the people
Yeah.
that rob people. I got a
Yeah.
flat tire, help me.
No,
So
no,
I'm just,
Yeah.
He was just on the side, like with nothing around him, just laying there, kind of holding his gut.
you never know.
He did it in L.A. L.A. ain't exactly
I don't know.
like
It's not-
Yeah, but it kind of has a little bit of more of that liberal.
Yeah, it does.
it's a little more liberal, but you still got a lot of
was
people
it-
there that are
It also
Was it
depends
Ted
on what
Bundy?
part of LA too.
Wasn't it Ted Bundy who would use Like a
he'd
have an arm in a sling. Hey, can you help me get this
Arm
in
in a
the
sling,
back of
hurt
my
dog.
rape van?
Yeah.
He was actually like a younger teenager type person, but whenever anybody would ask him to help him up, he's like, "No, man, I got some cramps going on. Like I'm good."
Well, I think a lot of times it
It's
depends on what the person kind of looks like too.
Well, yeah, he was white.
I'm not just saying white. I'm just saying, if you don't look homeless,
No,
if you're kind of clean shaven,
Yeah, he was
I
white,
think you're
clean
right.
shaven.
the white definitely
He
helps.
was-
I think the race card
but-
is there too. Yeah, but
young
I think,
20s, maybe
Yeah.
late teens.
That's what I'm saying. You're not like an old convalescent looking.
30.
I'm not that down on Russia about that kind of stuff. I think they're better than most people give them credit for on things like that.
I think most countries
Don't
are
be
really
pussy.
good at
I think-
taking
I think they are
a little
I-
bit better care of their poor.
Especially the majority of the population that doesn't get to live like the Mitt Romneys of the world.
Yeah.
I think most of those kind of people, like I grew up poor as shit, and I think most of the people that I was around would help anybody, even though they didn't have anything.
That's one of those things
they
that I
would
think
just
that
do-
people kind of don't understand. It's like almost the antithesis of the Fox News. It's like if you've
Right.
been around poor people, if you've seen a person in need, my mom
Yeah.
didn't have a lot, but she
Yeah.
always helped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was always willing to give you food. She was
Yep.
always willing to let you come in. I have that in me now. I'll drive by people and their car is broken down, and I go help push them off the side of the road.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom is one of the most nice, caring people I've ever known. Like,
Yep.
she helps people. She's not the Christian that, we say it, we go to church, we pay our tithing, but I'm
we
busy.
pay lip
Yeah, that's one
service
thing.
while we're in
She
church.
helps.
Yeah, go through
Yeah.
the motions. Yeah.
I mean, I've done it a few times where I walked out of a restaurant and being
Yeah.
like, "That guy looks pretty fucking hungry, sitting there in the corner."
And I remember-
I'm gonna go back in and get a to-go box.
I remember one really silly moment. I was like freaking 18, 19 at a Taco Bell. I had my old car, got my first job. My car breaks down. There's all these wannabe gangster Hispanic guys behind me. My car breaks down. I hear them swearing and stuff back there. Next thing I know, they're all getting out and they're helping me push my car
Yeah.
off to the side.
Yeah.
Like, they might talk a little bit of trash. They're young. Young people are going to talk a little bit of trash. I think more people are willing to help you than you think.
Yeah.
And they have more humanity than people want to
Yeah.
But
actually
people will
focus
judge
on.
you by the way you look. The
They
way
hear
you're
the one
acting.
story that's reported about this young guy that killed somebody because they don't report the stories on everyone they helped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah, I think so. So,
Let's do another Who Said It.
Oh.
Shall we? What do you got, Dan? What do you
well, I was going to say,
Let's put a button on that. What
have
do you
we
got?
have we asked very many questions of Temell?
Oh, do we have any toughness for me?
So,
Where's the hard ones?
I know.
so you just mentioned that you're in a mixed race marriage.
I am.
I'm guessing your wife is white.
She is. That's the only way it counts.
Right. Because anything else, she's not white. So it
it's
doesn't
just,
really
that's just
matter,
two
yeah.
minorities.
There-
They're all
there's
right.
white and everything else. Yeah. So how long have you been married?
I've been married 16 years.
Nice. And so you used to be LDS or not?
16
you weren't,
years?
You weren't really a believer, right?
I was never a believer. I was a
So-
person that pretty much my church experience was, I did what my mother wanted. I got baptized. I enjoyed doing the activity. I love scouting. I actually love the
Oh, yeah.
outdoors. Love the
I had a
rappelling.
lot of fun scouting.
And then when she told me when I was like 15 that you didn't have to go to church anymore if you wanted to, I'm like, all right, I won't.
Sweet.
And that was the end of it. I'm like, I started watching NBA on TV. I'm like, all right, we got double headers on Sunday.
So you never did the missionary thing.
Oh no! I remember she saved money. This is actually kind of hilarious. She was saving money for me to go on a mission. When I was like 12, I see her. She had these little things for me to go on my mission. I'm like, Mom, I'm not going on a mission.
That's not going to happen.
I'm like, that's.
I don't mean to
not
shit
in
hammer
the
your dreams right now
cards.
at the tender age of 12, Mom.
You're
but
wasting
that's not
that
gonna happen.
money. Just take it out of your 10%.
So
Yeah.
have you been sealed in the temple? Sorry, I didn't mean to catch you with a mouthful of beer there.
I didn't know this was a comedy show.
we tried to-
No.
No.
Yeah, I remember me and my wife, I'm not going to talk about her too much just in our personal relationship, but
Yeah.
I remember when she told me she's going to start going back to church, and I'm like, that's fine. If you ever expect that I am going to be going to church with you, then you're probably just going to want to file your divorce papers now. Which, I mean, because she wasn't going
Yeah.
either. It was pretty much
We're not
once
headed down
kids
the
were
same
born,
road.
Yeah, well, this path isn't happening for me. You know where I kind of lean.
Yeah.
I'm an extremist. I mean, well, I don't know if I'm an extremist. To me, I feel perfectly rational.
Yeah.
But I'm saying in this state, my
it's not gonna
view on
work.
pretty much
Oh, yeah.
everything is the opposite.
Yeah,
of
when
everybody else.
when you're talking about the relative
Yeah.
nature of it, yeah, sure. Here in Utah, that would be an extreme.
But I
position.
mean, I think that I'm probably more educated on what I believe than most people here in Utah.
Yeah.
I read,
Yeah.
I study. I don't just have opinions on things I've never read into.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just look in your faith's book and know all about your faith. There's a story about how it was created. There's a story about Joseph Smith, tried from going from New York down to Missouri, his trials. I mean, this stuff's all documented. This is stuff that people can look at.
They don't look
care.
at any of that.
And Matt mentioned
or anything.
Matt mentioned last week, people call into the atheist expression, and we'll talk to Matt Dillahunty and say, well, have you ever read the Bible? And he'll say, yeah, I have. Have you read anything else?
Yeah. There's more books out there.
There is. There's older faiths.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and so you just mentioned that your wife went back to church.
Yes.
So the two of you, when you got married, were neither of you active in the church or anything?
Nope, neither one of us was active. She wasn't active really when I was dating her, and then bombshell. I'm going back. I'm like, yeah. So I remember my mom and dad, one of their big things, church.
Yeah.
My dad tried to do the nice thing, and I'm going to go to church. I'll try to get in line with you, and I'm one of those people. I'm like, I'm not going to compromise myself.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm one of those people that's content to just be miserable. I can be by myself. I can be by myself till I'm old and I die. And
Well, I would say that's not miserable. I mean, you're
That's being
choosing
honest.
to live a more authentic life, right?
I try to live an authentic life. I mean, you might be miserable being alone, but at the same time, I'll die one of those old stubborn bastards that never freaking compromised.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather die once, as they say.
And then it's your choice. Okay, am I going to be miserable going to church to make other people happy, or am I going to live my life the way I want to?
I tell my kids now. I mean, I try not to be mean about it, but I'm like, if you're doing a church performance, I'm not going to go. I don't want you to think that I condone this activity. I'm not against it, but I mean, like I said, my focus for the kids is kind of just to try to make them good people. I don't want you to be one of those church people that judges everybody. I want you to be, if you're going to be a church person, then freaking do it. Love people. Have compassion and humanity.
Yeah.
And have an understanding of science, damn it. Don't Ken Ham it.
I think I hear your phone again.
Is it alarm time?
Yeah. I think I was actually raised on basically PBS. It was, if you're going to want to watch a show, you're watching PBS, or you're watching National Geographic, you're watching one of those shows. You ain't watching anything else. You ain't watching cartoons. You're watching PBS or National
Geographic. Takes that progression. It reminds me of because I listen and watch a lot of progressive radio, climate change, things like that. And I was having a conversation with a guy at work today, and he was talking about how his wife listens to NPR. He's like, yeah, but I don't like it, though, because she gets all angry about it. And I'm like, you know what? That's true, because I get that anger in me sometimes. You got to balance it out, listen to different things. But I'm like, I think the anger in that is a little bit more, how can everybody else be so dumb and just not care?
Yeah.
I mean, when you see things and you see just people don't care, they just say they're too busy. I can't be bothered to read a paragraph on something that could be potentially killing my children. But if Fox News says that, hey, Chinese are using red paint, then you actually can pay attention to that.
Don't immunize your kids.
It has to have a flash sticker. It has to be, bright and shiny. You can't do a little bit of research. I can't be bothered to dig for it. I just need it presented.
You want to hand it to you.
Yeah,
easy
fast
way.
Food it. Give it to me McDonald's style.
Yeah.
I got another question for you, but first.
Whoa, cliffhanger.
I think we should play another Who Said It.
All right, let's do it.
So
Let's see, who got the noodle for the last Who Said It? Dan?
I got the noodle.
You got the noodle.
He got the noodle.
All right, so we're starting with Temell on this
Yay, I lose.
Your quote is, "An atheist loves himself and fellow man instead of a god." There are 4 clues.
Then I'm supposed to guess how many clues I would like.
And 3 works.
yeah.
So if you don't know from the quote, then probably 4 would be a good opening bid.
4?
Yeah, that sounds
you
like
can't do that. You said there's only 3.
There's 4.
Oh.
There's 3 for
Last
you.
time I said 4, there was only 3.
I'll take.
There's 4 clues and negative 3. 3 works.
4 clues. 4 clues.
4 clues for Camille. Okay. Temell, sorry.
It's all right.
Do I just... See, I try to play a strategy on this, because if you get it wrong, even with 4 clues, I get a point.
Nice.
Answer it.
Okay.
Answer it with no clues?
No, with 4. You get the 4.
Okay, you get all 4
You
clues.
get the 4.
All right, sweet.
All right. First clue, born April 13th, 1919.
Holy
Good
fuck.
Lord.
That's one old son of a bitch.
In Beachview, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Clue 2, education. Ashland University, University of Toledo, and South Texas College of Law.
He was all over the place. Or she.
I'm starting to feel presidential on it.
Clue
but-
3, children. William J. and John Garth.
What's their last name?
Clue number 4, quote, the most hated woman in America. Dan knows it.
The most hated woman in America. Who is the most hated woman? I give.
that
Duffy
is
gets
the
a point.
question.
Duffy gets a point. The most hated. Oh, it's the person is the most hated.
Yeah,
woman.
Yes, this is
So
this
it's a
person.
woman.
She is the most hated woman in America, born 1919.
I didn't realize she was that old.
Oh, it's can't. Is it?
Famous,
No.
famous atheist.
Can I say? Is it?
Nope.
Okay.
You're not even in this round, actually.
Joan Rivers.
Is it who I did a quote of
I'm
last
tempted
week?
to give you a humor point for that one again. Noodle.
So I think you did do a quote from her last week.
She wasn't that old, was she? 1919. That sounds. If it's the same, I think me and you are on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
But 1919's throwing me the
That's
fuck.
the-
I've
Yeah,
already thrown out
old.
Joan Rivers. I'm done.
Okay. I think Joan Rivers is older than this, but
So Ryan
I'm
gets
thinking
the noodle.
Madeline Murray O'Hare.
Yeah, that's what
it is Madeline
Yeah.
Murray O'Hare.
She was born
Yes.
in 1919.
Yep.
Wow, I didn't realize she was that old.
So Duffy gets a noodle.
Wow.
Good noodle, Duff.
Now we have a tie between Ryan and
between
Temell.
you and I.
I mean, I went to. She was killed in the
Is that an E?
late 60s.
No, it was later than that.
Was it later than that?
I want to say 90s almost.
It's still Joan
When she was
Rivers.
killed?
She's old.
Yeah.
She is.
She was here
well,
from
she's
the
on life
beginning of
support
time.
now.
It was-
I know. She's been saying a lot of miserable things, and then to get put on life support. I don't believe in God, but
Madeline Murray O'Hare.
she really was saying a lot of bad things.
Well, I guess I.
That's not at all right, Google. It might have been because you guys were talking.
Oh.
But I did the little voice question thing to my phone, and I said, when was Madeline Murray O'Hare killed? And Google translated that to, when was Madeline Murray O'Hare dildo?
Oh wow!
I don't know how that happens. When was Madeline Murray O'Hare dildo? That's not
Okay.
that's not at all close to killed.
She was
Yeah, 1919.
April 13th, 1919
Yep.
to
She died
September
in
29th, 1995.
95. Yeah.
76. She does not look 76 years old.
You know Richard Andrews, who was the old president of Salt Lake Valley Atheists, toured the U.S. with Madeline Murray.
I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah, I got a lot of great books from him.
Yeah,
From his daughter.
yeah. I'm hoping that she'll bring some more out to another event. But yeah, he was a prodigious reader. I mean, prodigious and avid reader. He would read everything.
Lots of great stuff.
Yeah, speed reader. Yeah, tons and tons of good stuff.
Well, it was 1995 when she was murdered, or when they finally found out that she found her body?
Well, I would guess that that's when she was.
It's the same
murdered.
year she was assassinated.
Yeah.
Because they didn't find her body till like 4 or 5 years later.
Smell that clove?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it was 4 or 5 years.
No,
It
it
was-
says assassinated September 29, 1995.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it was that long that they,
That case went on for it. I thought it was almost a freaking cold case.
No, it went unsolved for a little while, but not a really long time.
I don't think
Because it
I don't
was
think
a,
multiple years.
No, it was.
It was a news agency that broke it, the murder. It was a news agency that was doing a little digging in on it, kind of going, hey, this seems
well
suspicious.
because they disappeared. Yeah,
and
Yeah.
then,
because they were kidnapped. They were kidnapped, and
well, because it wasn't until 2001 when Waters informed them where O'Hare's body was.
Yeah.
And that was during the
Until
trial.
2001?
That was during the trial.
wow. Yeah. So and they initially didn't know what was going on because they were kidnapped, and there was a bunch of money taken. So
Yeah.
So initial thoughts were, oh, well, they've taken the money and they've ran off somewhere.
With the gold coins and
Yeah. The stuff from the safe.
Yep.
which ironically the gold coins they had stolen were put into a freaking storage place, like a what do you call it?
Storage.
Like a storage thing where you
Locker?
drive. Yeah, where you put your home goods in it.
Yeah.
And that
Storage
place,
facility.
Yeah, and that place was robbed after he put the gold coins in it, and they're all stolen.
Oh,
The dude never even got them.
I like the new mic stands. I can bring it in and I can push it away. I can do all that kind of stuff.
Do we want to do a two-part?
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, we
I
actually
like it too.
we've upgraded our studio here in the basement, which this is our second to last episode in this studio basement because Dan is
That's
moving.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Closed on the house today.
Then we're gonna have a more
Excellent.
professional studio going on.
Well, it'll be an entirely separate room.
Yes.
I don't know how professional. it will
Whoa,
I think it's highly upgraded when you have an entirely separate guest house.
whole separate building.
Whole separate building.
There's a shed that we could use.
security guard
probably.
at the front door.
we can hire someone.
Stripper pole in the ceiling.
Oh.
Whoa.
I'm liking where this
Don't
is going.
pass the
Beer
judgments.
volcano.
You gotta be able to Mad Men it up a little
And a
bit.
nacho machine. We got to have a nacho
would be
machine.
good.
Full service bar.
Yes,
With like one of those nacho cheese fountains instead of chocolate. You can just dip your chips in
right in the middle of the
jalapenos.
table, so we just put our chips in there and.
And chili. I would settle for the thing from 7-Eleven
like a
that does like the
fondue?
chili and the cheese both in the same machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that would work, except
Yeah.
spilling over the whole like a chocolate fountain.
I'd be doing a lot more muting on this board while you're eating chips the whole time, though. Unmute him. He's going to talk soon.
All right, well, should we blow through my answers first? I only have
Sure.
4 this week.
Okay.
All right, this is like the Jeopardy style game where I give you the answer and then you guys provide the answer and the question and
Yeah. It's Jeopardy.
Anybody who knows it just says their
Alex Trebek,
just
what
says-
is an asshole?
right.
What is Ken Ham?
Right. I know all the answers because I'm holding the cards.
I don't know about
I'm sorry, we're looking for sphincter.
I don't know what
Sphincter
the
was
game
the
show
correct
hosts
answer.
and their
Correct
super
answer.
conservative ways are. But
All right. So the first answer is for 500 years, worshippers
I'm not looking. Don't worry, I'm not looking.
at a Muslim shrine in this country have continued the tradition of throwing babies from a 50-foot tower for good luck.
India?
It is India.
you didn't
Good
just put
one,
it as a
Ryan.
question. What is India?
Oh, that's true. I should be stricter about that.
What the fuck is India?
What the fuck is India?
I'd actually seen a whole little documentary where that was part of it, where they're showing them literally dropping these babies off and they're catching them in blankets, and I'm like,
Oh, they're catching them in blankets.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
well,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
At
They're
least
catching
they're
them.
catching
I
them.
know,
I'm like,
yeah.
goddamn.
I know.
but like, if one guy slipped,
was,
that baby's falling on the fucking ground.
I'm like, that's like some old school Spartan
Oh, yeah.
300 shit.
Oh, it is. It was
Except
crazy.
for the catching of the babies.
right.
Yeah, they would catch him. They weren't just letting him splat like, you
ah,
crawled
this
away,
one's
he's good.
brown.
They're not dashing them on rocks. All right, answer number 2. This is the funerary practice in Tibet where a human corpse is incised in certain ways and placed on mountaintops, exposing it to animals and elements.
I have no clue what it's called.
You got me.
Yeah, they're getting tougher.
Yeah, I am not familiar with this at all.
Croetus Bodius.
What is the circle of life?
That is correct, Simba. It's called sky burial.
Sky
It's the
burial.
Tibetan sky burial.
So, if you watch The Lion King backwards, it's really a very happy movie.
I can see that.
Especially if you play the dark side of the moon.
Simba's mom's resurrected.
Hey, you remember that one Disney movie where the one kid didn't accept responsibilities and ran away, and then someone evil took over, and they had to come back and save everybody?
I think that was just about every Disney movie.
Someone was saying how it was pretty much just like Frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, right. All right. Answer 3. These guys are going to be quick on this one.
Uh-oh. Who was Sarah Pickle?
That is correct.
That should get noodles.
that should get noodles.
It was waiting right there in the bowels.
We've got a tie. Dan, who's usually in the lead, is trailing.
I started drinking early tonight.
Yeah, we've got a tie for first.
Because of a very special guest.
Yes.
It's a black man.
Oh, we are.
Latter-day Saint temple garments are sometimes
seen
known
those.
by this more casual term.
Jesus jammies.
Damn you.
Damn
Yes.
you. Yeah, you would
The
have
temple
correct.
Oh, what?
It's a callback.
No. Well, so I was thinking of the actual temple garb that they have to wear.
I
not-
said Latter-day Saint temple garments,
garments.
are sometimes known
They are.
by this more casual term.
They are Jesus jammies.
They are Jesus
But-
jammies.
Tend to
Yeah.
get filthy.
But you know,
Well, they don't ever take them off.
Well, you need to freaking recycle. 7-day a week's minimum. They should sell them in packs of 7.
but you know what I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about the baker's hat.
Yeah,
and the sash and-
You got it wrong.
You figure for the amount the
I know what
church
you mean.
charges for those, I mean, better material.
Yeah.
You need to have
Like
fine
they should
quality.
be made of Under Armour.
Yeah, Under Armour.
Like
They do have
wicks
clings
the
to the
sweat
body.
away.
They do
That's
have
what it's treated as anyway, right?
they do have various
Under
materials.
Armour.
They have various materials.
It's impenetrable.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they would have to. Because
Some of them
for
are
different.
some of them
allergies.
are like mesh. Some of them are like poly cotton blend.
I'm sure the
They
men have
they
some
a whole bunch
nice
of different-
ones, but for the women,
Well,
they
that
kind of
just-
seem like some of those old granny jammies. I mean,
Oh, they are- yeah, well,
nobody
they are
wants
that-
to see their bloomers. I mean, are there bloomers anymore?
Everybody, yeah,
I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of the mesh at work. Like,
yeah.
like the.
It's popular.
I think they're
It almost
sponsored by
looks
Under
like-
Armour.
Whenever I see it, it
Yeah.
reminds me of like basketball shorts that are that kind of
Yeah.
mesh.
Uh-huh.
Or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
1980s menswear at the club.
Yeah, that's a nice material.
Yeah.
For the
Fine
alternative
quality.
clubs.
I mean, I'm all about the material.
Yeah. But that's
Yeah,
what it
they-
always
they
reminds
do have
me of is
different-
basketball shorts.
Yeah, they do have different ones, but
Nobody wants Walmart garments.
no.
Made in China.
wool garments.
All right, one more answer first. This is the practice of evicting demons and spirits from people or places.
What is exorcism? What is exorcism? You didn't say.
I didn't say what. I said exorcism.
You didn't say what is.
We have a tie. Dan, you're getting killed, dude.
I was going, well, yeah, I guess.
I was telling my kids how, like, the Catholic Church, I'm atheist, but
Yeah.
they are the best because they have the best movies, the best pageantry.
Right,
I mean,
right.
you got The Exorcist and you got Sleepers.
They're the creepiest.
Wing. They have the Kevin Bacon connection.
Yeah.
Where is the Mormon Kevin Bacon connection?
They make
Not 16 Stones.
Footloose.
That Footloose was
So when does that piece of shit come out?
No clue.
well. Footloose and Tremors were both filmed in Utah, so that's
There are a lot of movies
The,
that filmed in Utah.
Kevin, but
Kevin Bacon
I guess it's
connection.
kind of Mormon. There's Mormon production on shit. I'm sure they got their cut.
Guarantee they did.
Tithe and taxes.
yeah. All right, so we got a first place tie on games tonight so
Uh-oh.
far. Dan is
Done.
really in the rear with 2 noodles.
So I have several
We got-
excuses on hand. Which one would you like to hear?
Temell and Ryan have got five noodles each.
I figure I killed it so bad last week. I'm kinda sitting back.
Fair enough.
Relaxing.
We've got plenty of games left, but so I was actually going to ask you
Ask me.
when you were talking about when you and your wife first got together, neither of you were active, and that's how it was for me and my first wife. I'll say first wife, but that's a long story. What's that?
Your
Do you need to tell us something?
No, I don't need to draw a chart or anything. It's just
Maury.
but that's how it was for us. And then she made the shift to Mormonism, like yours did, and then it became a problem that I didn't. Right, like that. So it's kind of this like, let's get married. I know how you are, but I expect you to change. And then I'm thinking, I know how you are, and I hope you don't.
You know,
So I'm just wondering how, because you said you've been married, 16 years?
Yeah.
Which is still unbelievable because you're 24 to me, looking at you here.
Right, or 37, one of the two.
Oh, okay.
well, and I've heard that like from sociologists that men marry women expecting them to never change,
To be the same, yeah.
and women marry
hope that they'll
men
be different,
hoping
yeah.
that they'll be different,
they
or
will
that they can
change,
change.
Yeah, and I would say for me, it's kind of obviously it's kind of different, but I almost kind of put the problem more on myself because I became a little bit more radicalized. Like, I became a little bit more world conscious. Like, she was kind of doing her Mormon thing. I didn't have a problem with that. When I was kind of drinking and partying more, I wasn't really thinking about the world. You know, I was like, hey, whatever, you go to church, I'm going to go meet my buddies, hang out at the bar, watch some football or whatever. Then I kind of, started, like, really paying attention. I'm like, man, this world is, like, just changing right around you. Like, the war on Christmas. I mean, these Christians are, like, on an attack.
Yeah.
Like, they're attacking every aspect of life, whether it comes to science, whether it comes to politics. Like, they're trying to claim their own and take out anybody else that gets in the way is almost the way that I feel. It's like, they want to attack Neil deGrasse Tyson for being a know-it-all black man because he's a scientist talking about the cosmos and the origin, evolution.
And
he knows what.
And he's smart as hell, and he's about as soft as you can get.
And that's the thing. And then the thing
that controversy
that really kind of bothers me is it's almost like, religion and freaking refusing to educate yourself, doubling down. I mean, it's starting to go hand in hand. Not only are they, I don't want to just come out and say dumb, but I will say dumb. Not only are they like kind of dumb on subjects, don't study, admit that they don't understand, yet they double down on their beliefs on something that they have never studied at all.
Yeah, well, and I would say rather than dumb, I would say ignorant. Like they've not, they've not taken the time.
Are like intentionally ignorant. It's not because they're accidentally ignorant.
Yeah,
it's like they're just going out of their way.
Well, I don't think nobody's unintentionally ignorant now with the internet, and I mean, you can't be.
You have no
ignorant
reason.
by accident.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I almost kind of, like my personal beliefs, and that's kind of where, I was kind of a militant-ish atheist. Like, no, there is no God, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to bring it at you this way to, like, I think these people are just trying to do everything they can to cling to their guns, as Barack Obama would say, or, like, cling to their religion. They know. They can see the evidence. They understand that you could find out these answers. You know that things in your church aren't adding up. But for them, it's like taking away hope. I have, a really good friend that I talk to. And he says, he teaches his kid about religion. He kind of does it his own way. He's not necessarily a church guy, but he feels that he's taken away hope from children. And that's kind of the way that I've started seeing it now. I'm not saying that I'm taking away hope. I think you can be a sensible child, but maybe every child is not necessarily sensible. So it's like giving them that little bit of hope because some people mentally just can't cope. I mean, if you tell these people, hey, we're losing jobs in this country. Everything's going overseas. It's getting ridiculously expensive to live. There is no hope for you. The last thing that they might have to cling to is, at least I hope it's better when I'm dead.
Well, and for me, it's kind of that whole notion of, what, I can't remember who said it, but there's that great quote of, when I was a child, I thought as a child, and when I became an adult, I put away childish things. And,
very true.
And yeah, I mean, as a child, you have. You can experience wonder and awe and all of that. I think you can still do that as an adult or even as a child in a secular way. And you don't have to have
you can definitely do it in a secular
or magical
way.
thinking.
I mean, when you look at
that.
you look at people like Tesla, you look at some of the great inventors and just some of the passion that they had for their new fields. And I mean, there's still that passion out there to be explored, new experiments to be had, but I just look at it as a lot of Christians are Toys R Us kids, and they don't want to give up their toys.
And one of the things that I love about Neil deGrasse Tyson is that he's so passionate, so enthusiastic, and so in love with what he does.
Yep, absolutely.
That he
and I would say that is definitely something that kind of inspired me within that aspect.
Yeah,
I mean, it's almost kind of what made me want to go back to school. I'm like, I mean, I have these talents. I'm good with computers. I'm good with electronics. But maybe I can create something. Maybe I can be to electrical engineering what Neil deGrasse Tyson is to astrophysics. Like maybe, some kids will see this. I mean, what I ideally want to do is get my degree in that and teach kids to just enjoy science,
explore it,
want to build things, want to make something new. Don't buy the new iPad and make the new freaking iPad.
Yeah,
I think one of my favorite quotes from Tyson ever, and I don't even remember where I heard this, but he was talking about how people will say, you find the person that you really appreciate or respect in whatever field it is, and you model yourself after them.
You
do what they do, right? And he said, if I would have waited for the first black astrophysicist out of the Bronx, I would have never ever done. So I just went. You fucking go, dude. You do it. You do the right. But I also have another question for you.
Oh,
too,
I was just going to throw in a quick,
go ahead.
quick,
Go ahead.
quick thing. Well, I was just saying, along the same lines that you're talking about finding somebody to inspire you. I think that's kind of atheists and Christians somewhat have it very similar. I think Christians, obviously, kind of Jesus, God direction.
Sure.
Atheists look for free thinkers, like independent people.
Yep.
People that express the thoughts that you've been feeling your whole life. I mean, I remember that I always felt alone. Like, I am the lone atheist in Utah.
Sure.
There's no one like me. And I mean, meeting groups obviously, like you guys, I mean, I got on Meetup, and they have the Godless Coffee in Ogden, where you can actually sit there and talk with people who have an appreciation with science, similar beliefs. Because I think, regardless of the type of independent badass that you think you might be, like I kind of thought I was, I'm like, you still want someone to have a regular conversation with.
We're social creatures.
It's like being a house mom stuck in there talking to children. Like when you talk to an adult, you're gonna freak out a little bit.
Yeah.
But, hey, I can have this adult conversation that I haven't been having.
Yeah. That's what I love about hanging out with other atheists, is that I don't have to be so guarded. I don't have to worry about. There's always this. When I'm out in the wild and
you don't want to accidentally
with Christians,
stray bullet.
It's there's always this kind of subconscious fear that I may say something to upset them or whatever, and it's like when I'm with other atheists, I can relax and be myself. I don't have that internal fear of, oops, I said something bad about Jesus, or I said something irreverent or blasphemous.
I actually think that's the thing that my wife doesn't kind of understand, is like the amount of things that I have to filter when I am talking to you. Because she already knows my brain is like rapid fire. Like I'm having 15 conversations in my head while I'm trying to communicate to you. And if you think that sometimes I might occasionally say a mean thing to you, you should see what I am not saying.
Yeah, if only you knew what was going on in my head right now.
It took me a long time to put like an atheist bumper sticker on my car. I was like, I don't want people to look at it. I don't want to be judged. I said, fuck it. One day I put I put the atheist, atomic A on the back, and I put a Darwin fish on there. And now I got the
flying spaghetti monster.
Good Without God atheist Utah sticker on there. And the other day at work, I'm sitting in their kitchen. Our kitchen has big bay windows, so you can see out into the parking lot. I can see my car in the parking lot. And one of these guys from our reserve unit parked next to my vehicle, and I knew he was a devout Mormon. He walked past my car, stopped, and walked back and kind of stared at that sticker for like 5 seconds like, I need to run.
Oh my God, they're everywhere.
Oh, no. Like he looked surprised when he looked at the back of my car and saw a Good Without God Atheist of Utah sticker on it.
Right. And how awesome. I love driving around and seeing different shit on people's cars. I'll drive past somebody who has a Darwin fish on their car, and I'm like, oh, my people.
Yes.
Right.
One thing slightly off subject. I just saw this ridiculous sticker while we're talking about stickers. I was driving by, the little stick families that's on everybody's vehicle. One had the stick mom bent over a counter, a dude nailing her from behind, and it said, fuck you and your fucking stick family.
No way.
This man has some anger in there.
I think it's funny.
It's hilarious, but he had another sticker that was like really angry too. I'm like, these guys might be problems. One of these. Well, I see those stickers. Aurora Theater happening here.
And my first thought is, I'm like, that
you instantly turn into the world's most courteous driver around this guy.
I see that as a criminal gold mine. Like someone can follow them home and count the people that leave the house. Like, okay, they got 6 people on their sticker.
Right.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4,
between
5, 6. Everyone's gone. Let's go rob the place.
Like, here's me on vacation as you rob my house.
Oh yeah.
Here's my address.
Yeah.
And people worry about NSA.
Yeah. Like you're making it easy for the NSA.
Well, I've had that conversation with a couple people on Facebook where I'll tag myself at somewhere other than home, and they're like, "Oh, that's crazy! You're just alerting the criminals that you're not home." And I'm like, "Well, besides alerting the criminals that I'm not home, I'm also alerting all of my friends, family members, neighbors, everybody else who knows me that hey, Dan isn't home, and there's some strange fucking car parked in his driveway, or there's some guy outside his house."
Yeah, I think it's usually prolonged trips that they're kind of talking to.
Yeah,
You're running into the market, like, you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah.
For now.
Like if
I'm just saying,
if I go off into the mountains, I don't post pictures of my mountain trips till I get home.
Yeah.
I took him 3 days ago. I'm back.
Yeah, I'm not actually there right now at this moment. I'm actually in my house physically with a rifle next to me.
Please don't rob me, bro.
14 rifles.
Yeah. What? No, was it 13 or 14?
I lose count. I don't know how many I have.
One of them's an AR-15. We learned last week. So
Two of them are an AR-15.
Two of them.
Okay.
One's an AK-47.
You only need 3 guns.
Let me
pistol,
bring
rifle,
it
and
back
shotgun?
for a minute. I want to. You were talking about being militant early on in your atheism and stuff, and I think it's interesting because for the most part, I think black people are about 15% of the U.S. population, or somewhere around there, 12 to 15%, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It's
Smaller percentage in Utah.
yeah, way. Yeah, we're 1 to
We keep
1 to
count.
2%.
We have a
maybe in
newsletter.
Utah.
Where are you at?
Where are you at, app? But even a really small percentage of that are atheists, and I've seen even among the atheist groups that are predominantly black, like the atheists of Atlanta, are extremely homophobic. You know, hate the gays. They're really aggressive with that.
They're not a nice group of people.
Yeah, that one's kind of.
not heard about this.
Yeah,
group.
they are. They're kind
honestly.
of.
They're pretty bad, but
violent. Like they're.
Yeah, they.
Violently
I'm not
homophobic,
connecting that to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that when we talk about militant atheism, it's like 97% white males, you know, and then 2% white females, and then 0.5% bi or something white men or women or whatever it is. So I'm just kind of interested in the angle that you're coming from as a black. Formerly militant atheist, which is a really kind of an interesting, really small group.
Well, when I say militant, is an army of one. But I mean, pretty much, if you imagine a Jehovah's Witness, like you could mention something to me slightly about religion, and I'd get into your face about all kinds of different aspects.
Okay.
And I would study different religions so I could attack you personally.
Sure.
I wanted to cater my attack. And then, so like, oh, you believe in this faith? Well, blah, 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 blah. I mean, Christians is all generalized, but I mean, I read a little bit of Quran and know a little about Buddhism, things like that.
Sure.
But I mean, I was just one of those people like, you know, there's a while where you go around and you're just in the back of a party and somebody says something silly and you're like, And I was one of those dudes that'd be at the party drinking and like, let me tell you something.
Okay, all right.
Let me tell you about the Christian. I was almost like Clive and Bundy. I'm like, let me tell you about the Christian.
Okay. All right.
That guy.
We don't
More
like
specials.
Bundy.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I
But
think that's one of the silly things to me. You talk about the Clive Bundy, you talk about the Phil Robertsons. The Christians don't realize the company that they're keeping.
Right.
The mentalities that you are having, you stay isolated. Mormons want to keep you in the group. They have the saying, be in the world, not of the world.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which is where they're trying to teach you basically isolationism. They don't want you to mingle with people. They don't want you to experience other places. Don't go in those circles. Go to bed early. Don't be out here late at night. It's because they don't want you to mingle with these people. You view them as another.
Yeah, the more
Most
you
religions
do.
group out group
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
the more you can shelter, the more you can keep them from viewing another way to live.
You dehumanize them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I'm hopeful for because my children see me. They know me. They've grabbed me the beer from the fridge. Like, you can hear this bull crap about what drinkers do, but like, I love my dad. My dad is freaking awesome. He read to me all the time, and he drinks.
Yeah.
He's not, he didn't smack us around.
Yeah.
He
He's not out murdering people. It didn't turn him into a raving lunatic to have one beer.
Right. Well, I even saw a YouTube video at some point that was, it was those, I don't know, 3 minutes or something, but it was like black people don't do atheism.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I know, but I'm just saying there's that, and then there's, the statistics, and there's all this other,
there's a lot behind it.
It's a really interesting to see a grown ass black man in Utah that's an atheist. I mean, it's really weird.
You're a unicorn.
My family is strong Christian. I mean, most of my family. My mom's Mormon, but I mean, my family in New York, I've went to so many different types of churches I can't count.
Okay.
And it's a different experience for me. I mean, I like some of the churches. Mormonism's done different in Utah. It's really silent and reverent. You go to other places. I mean, Boston, we used to have pig roast. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I'd go to churches in New York. These are churches that probably have 40 to 50,000 people in them. There's singing, dancing, guest speakers, freaking a band. You'd meet outside, have wafers and fruit punch afterwards. I mean, it was like an event. I've been to so many churches. It's just the philosophy has never resonated with me.
Yeah.
I don't hold anything against the people. I have my own feelings about religions, which is probably more where my militantism is focused now. Like, I don't like organized religion.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I can understand why a person needs to have faith.
Well,
It's not necessarily.
I think that whole idea of not holding anything against the person necessarily, it's against the religion that they hold, is lost on so many religious people. They view any attack against their religion as an attack on
That's
them
what I'm saying.
personally.
I'm attacking them. I'm like, I don't need to have my public school doesn't need to have your prayer. It's nothing against you.
Yeah, and it's hard to get them to see that because they've been steeped in this religion their entire life. To view any kind of contrary thinking as an attack.
Well, outside of the isolationism, they also tell them that, even though you're a large percentage, Christians, a great large percentage of our nation, Mormonism, not quite so much, but they tell them that they're the minority, that people are going to judge you. It's like they kind of build that little you against the world within them.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, you have that you against the world attitude. Any attack on your religion is, they're attacking us again. They're after us.
Right.
It's like, teaching your little kid that they're coming for us, and one day they come and they're like, oh, my dad said they were coming.
I knew this day was coming. I've been preparing for it my whole life.
Yeah.
Dropping shit, man.
Well, I do have one news article up here right now that I found this week
Excellent.
that I found to be quite disturbing. And I'm fairly sure all of you will find it to be quite disturbing as well.
Sure we will.
I doubt it.
Okay, if Dan does not find us disturbing, we're taking away his morality card.
Well, he's only gotten 2 noodles, so I don't know how much more we could take away from
probably
him.
You don't know what's going on in my head, man.
Well, unless you're all for the albino children in East Africa being slaughtered for their body parts to be sold as Lucky Charms.
I'm almost an albino, so yeah, that was.
You know what? That's kind of one of those other interesting things to me. Just totally, I mean, it kind of somewhat relates to the article, but I was looking at another article talking about how come Americans are so concerned with what happens in Africa, and or even in the Middle East. It's because they don't want to look at the bads that are being done here.
Yeah,
they want to be like, well, look at those other people. We had nothing to do with that. That is their fault.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's like being sympathetic, but not to something, but not really having to find a solution.
Do you guys know? Do you guys know who Trevor Noah is?
Yes, love that guy. The African American, hilarious,
right?
That's on Netflix now too, by the way.
Yeah, African American Trevor Noah from South Africa.
Check it out; it's awesome.
Yeah, he's hilarious. But he talks about that.
Yeah.
He's like, the reason why the Americans are concerned. Like, he's like, they're starving people in Africa. He's like, they're starving people everywhere, all over the world. Like,
I've said that before. Like, before we start worrying about other countries, let's fucking start focusing on our country.
Take care of your backyard.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, that. But then the rest of the. I mean, what about North Korea? What about China? What about Laos? What about Poland? I mean, there's starving, and this is a guy from Africa.
It's almost like the way of saying that you're one of the good ones. It's like saying that I care about black people.
Very good.
Just not in this country.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Like, I like those black people. Those little black kids.
That's very good.
Yeah.
I care about blacks.
That's very good.
The reason why I picked this
Africa's
article,
almost totally black, right? That proves that I care about them.
Yeah.
the reason why I'd seen this one and I kind of saved it in my phone was because it's because of their superstitions and beliefs that albino children and their body parts will bring them happiness, wellness, success, and cure diseases.
No, I don't want to sound racist, but they're still rolling bones down there.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, I don't.
I was waiting for some white stuff, but oh man,
It's like a joke I like to say. Anytime I talk about religion, like, they're still rolling bones.
It's the witch doctors that are using the body parts and preserving them.
They're rolling bones down there.
And selling
Louisiana.
And selling the body parts to people as good luck charms. It's not like it's. But I mean, they're doing it as it's a superstition. It's a religious ideal behind it. Yeah, like rolling bones. Yes.
Yeah. Nobody would do that without a superstitious religious motivation.
No. Right. You're not going to see too many atheists chopping people up.
No.
Yeah.
Just put it out there.
I mean, every once, the weirdo psychos every once in a while, but not as a not systematically.
Yeah.
Well, and not as a proviso of their
dogmatic,
atheism.
no.
I mean, there's nothing tied there.
And not condoned by their doctrine.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Like, we don't do that anymore.
Right.
Marriage is between a man and a woman now.
Right. Right.
But I mean, even these
Absolutely,
pictures of these albino kids, I'm like, they look too
do you
sweet.
have pictures? I don't know if I want to.
Looking at
Yeah,
albino
God.
kids, that's like
They
looking
look
at
a
pictures
little
of
bit-
gingers.
I support
You don't
the
want to do
albino.
that.
They look a little bit like powder, but
Oh, wow.
yeah, they're albino.
That's almost like a...
I'm
the
almost
disease where,
albino.
like in African Americans, where you start losing your pigmentation.
Well, that's
It is,
that's
but-
what because
but
you
full body, yeah.
you
Yep.
lose the
Yeah.
I'll be honest. That's like one disease that terrifies me. There's a lot of diseases
Really?
that terrify me, but it'd just be weird to like suddenly start losing your pigment to me.
Which
Or,
one?
like being spotted.
When I lived in Phoenix,
yeah. If it's like parts,
Like, I remember the
Yeah.
last time I was out in Brooklyn for a family reunion and like seeing a few people like that. I'm like,
well, I had a teacher in high school.
It'd be hard. I mean, we're such a
Yeah.
culture that's
Yeah.
focused on appearance.
on color, yeah,
Like,
for
I
sure.
keep myself nice and
But-
clean and tight, but
I remember my math
there's-
teacher in
Right.
high school. Half her face was purple.
right.
Her
Yeah.
face and her neck.
Was
she
that
had
a
that
birthmark?
Yeah, those giant. I can't remember what they call those
Yeah,
birthmarks,
I've
where
known
it
a girl
basically
like that.
covers large parts of your body. But she had literally like almost like Two-Face.
Yeah.
because it literally was dividing her face, and part of her neck was purple. And the rest of her was
now,
like
did it have any physical implications on her health? Or
no, like she was just fine.
so that,
you know,
I mean, then
No.
it's just one of those
It's
funny
just-
things about
it's a-
Americanism.
yep.
It's like
Yeah.
you look weird.
It's
different. It's an abnormality.
And in this case,
stared at.
Africanism. I mean,
Yeah.
because same. I'm like, and when I lived in Phoenix, there used to be this on Bethany Home Road in downtown Phoenix. There used to be this gal that used to come in. She was a black girl for sure, but had albinism, and she had big old yellow dreads, and she looked white, but she was black all the way, and she was so awesome and everything. But she was totally fine physically. Everything was fine.
Yeah,
It just
it's
was
just
this,
a weird thing.
It was this
Don't go out in the sun.
genetic
Yeah.
deformation, and so there was really nothing. But she
and
was
you're
cool as
treated
shit,
different.
and-
It's like pretty
yeah,
much
exactly
anything that's out of the norm. I mean,
Yeah,
our
yeah,
minds
yeah.
are developed to look at things in a certain way.
Patterns.
Patterns. That's
Yep.
what I'm saying. That's why they try to group like black, white, Mexican.
Yep.
It's the same way. Like, hey, you're not symmetrical. There's something
Yeah.
asymmetric about this. Which I remember driving down the street as a delivery driver, and I saw it was the weirdest thing to me, and I don't know why it disturbed me. Like, I was younger, but I saw a guy who looked like he'd had his face burned, and he had
Yeah.
half a goatee. And that was like the weirdest thing to me. I'm like,
it's like if you can't grow a full one,
Why would you
just
do
shave
that?
it?
Yeah.
well, I mean, why am I judging that?
Yeah.
maybe
That's
wanted
what
to-
he likes.
Maybe he always wanted to have a goatee. Maybe
Yeah.
he does a lot of side
Maybe he
profile
used to have
pictures.
it.
It's just
Only from my good side.
good thing there's no hell.
But that again reminds me of that Trevor Noah thing where he's talking about spending 18 hours on a flight, and then he comes here, and now I'm Puerto Rican.
Very
Right,
true.
because
It
he's
is very
half-
true
half white,
because
half black.
in New York
Right.
they are not worried about Mexicans. Like I was
No,
up there hanging
there's
out
none
with
of- there's
Puerto
none.
Ricans.
There's
you
no-
got
there's none of
immigrants,
them
and that's the other thing when it comes to immigration. It's kind of another one of those black and white issues. You got freaking Russians, Swedish,
Sure.
French, people from all over, but
British,
No, those
Irish,
ones that
yeah.
are walking over. You can
Right.
come by plane or by boat, but you cannot walk over that
Right.
physical border
Right.
from the south.
Yes.
North, it's okay. You got
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
food.
of
You got
course.
good syrup.
Yeah,
Right, right.
Yeah.
and some good beer. Sometimes
Yeah, Molson.
Labatt's.
Most,
I was going with Labatt's Blue.
Yeah, I mean hockey.
I don't even know
Hockey,
if
I
I
would have been on your side, but you went beer. So yeah.
How about this one though? Growing number of scholars are saying historical Jesus did not exist.
that is a growing number.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody, there's all kinds of scholars who say,
Yeah, that's a
"Oh no,
tricky
all the religious scholars say that Jesus existed." Well, those religious scholars also happen to be white Christians who,
Yeah.
they're not.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was like Eli Reza's book, the Zealot, where he kind of talked about documentation of there being
what is his
references to
name?
like several crises.
Yes.
I know it's Reza. I think
Reza Aslan.
Yeah, Reza Aslan. So yeah, I mean, he talks about several references of Christ, and I like the idea of Christ as an individual. I love. He sounds like anti-establishment.
the Christian
of the miracle.
Well, the Christian cleaned up version of Christ. I mean, Christ did a lot of shitty things too. Yeah, but they overlook all of that.
Well, I'm not talking about being perfect because nobody is perfect. It's
Jesus was.
It's what I teach my children all the time. What the hell is perfection? So if he's turning over those tables and kicking out money changers, that might not be perfect.
Right, he didn't even tell where his parents were. He went when he was 11, and he went to teach the people in the temple. That left his parents in 3 days of misery and chaos and trying to figure out.
No, that's not perfection.
Perfect. No, well,
it's like I say. I mean, they change these books, they change these stories. You can't just have a person be human. It needs to be perfection. I tell my kids all the time, nobody is truly perfect.
There is a growing number of scholars who are saying
that. I do find interesting, though, that I like to think about is what would Jesus be like nowadays? How would he be received by Christians?
Like not Charles Manson.
That's what I am saying.
Well,
this hippie going around. Like Charles consider Manson. Him an occupier.
We talked about the new show on FXX, Black Jesus, last week. Yeah. We mentioned that. Have you watched any of that at all?
I've not watched that.
It's funny.
Is it?
It's I don't know.
Maybe I found it funny because everyone was hating on it, and I'm like, fuck yeah, fuck yeah, fuck yeah.
There is sometimes that anti-establishment mentality. I think that kind of is within atheists. Sometimes it's you're talking shit on this. I'm gonna look at it and give it my perspective.
Yeah, so I'm kind of torn on it. Like I love the concept and everything. The show is it's all right.
Adult Swim. There's not many shows that are like, yeah, that was a phenomenal production.
That's true.
But 420.
But on the question of how would modern Christians accept Jesus?
They wouldn't.
Go look at Intelligence Squared. It's a debate with Christopher Hitchens and Stephen Fry against I think he's from Congo, maybe an archbishop of the Catholic Church from Congo.
I have seen that one.
And Whitcomb, where they're talking about if the Catholic Church is a force for good. And Stephen Fry talks exactly about that. He's like, what about this show of power, of wealth, of all this shit? Like the last person they would accept in their doors is that Jew, that carpenter Jew.
Yeah, that carpenter Jew.
The last person they would accept.
Hey, maybe you shouldn't pollute the ocean.
Right. That's the last person they would accept. Yeah. Is that person they claim to worship. Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
one of the
Stephen Fry is brilliant in that.
Their I guess theory or what they're going with right now is saying that most antiquity scholars think the New Testament Gospels are myth history. In other words, they think that around the start of the first century, a controversial Jewish rabbi named Yahweh ben Yosef gathered a following, and his life and teachings provided the seed to the what grew into Christianity.
Well, Richard Carrier's been saying that for years.
That Yahweh ben Yosef?
Well, Carrier initially was advocating that, yes, there was evidence for historical Jesus. It wasn't until the last, 4, maybe 5 years that he's changed his tune on that.
The Romans were fairly immaculate-ish with their records.
And I mean, and there's more and more books coming out by more atheist scholars who have done all the research that they possibly can. David Fitzgerald's book, Nailed, is excellent.
But
David did a great job.
Carrier's at the forefront of that movement.
I would say, I don't know that he's at the forefront of it, only because I think if he is at the forefront of it, it's because he was advocating for a historical Jesus for quite a while and has since changed his tune on it.
Well, Bart Ehrman did that same thing. But
But I think that's probably why, if he is at the forefront of it, that's part of the reason, is because he's changed his tune on it.
Well, yeah, of course he did, but I'm just saying, like, he's like, if this is news now, Carrier's been saying that for
it's just more people are jumping on board with it.
Yeah, that's definitely the thing. I mean, when
Carrier and then Ehrman, and it's been. But
when it makes it to the news cycle, it's been discussed for about a decade.
Right. Yeah, that's.
And the other thing they're all jumping on too is the fact that the virgin birth, all the supernatural stuff, the crucifixion, the resurrection, all that's
got me.
Well, I mean, more people are jumping on board with all that was, like basically saying, that has been plagiarized, and yes, we can prove where it's been plagiarized. We can say, see here, but I mean, it shouldn't have taken that long to figure out.
Those people have more questions on climate change than they do about that.
Yeah. Right. I mean, there's many ancient texts that point to other stories in the New Testament and Old Testament that all go to different religions that are thousands of years older. That's why I always say, I'm like, the Bible is just a another plagiarized version of a
It
religion.
really is. And I mean, modern day Bible, you can talk to people. I'm like, you only follow the New Testament. You guys don't pay attention to any of that old stuff. You want to sit there and act like it. I mean, how can you try to tell me the book's 100% authentic? Real, certifiable.
When there are contradictions at the very beginning. I mean, Genesis is riddled with contradictions, self-contradictions.
And even the
not even just logical contradictions, but it's self-contradictory throughout Genesis.
Or when you get the people that are always saying, well, if you don't have the sacrifice, you don't have the crucifixion, the resurrection, then what is the Bible there for? I mean,
There's
that's the
no
whole
need
point
for
of it.
Messiah.
I'm like,
I'll
that's
tell you the
point.
most important thing about that is, I can't remember which comedian it was that I heard, but he said, if Jesus was just going to be resurrected, what was the point of the crucifixion?
Yeah.
and not only that, I mean, you can go back to the supposed fall. I mean, you can go back to Adam and Eve. You know, there are so many people who are upset that, you know, more and more scholars are saying the Adam and Eve story is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And so if the Adam and Eve story is bullshit and there is no fall, there is no original sin, then there's no need for there is no need at all for a redemptive Christ.
Are you trying to say they didn't have DNA in the Adam and Eve days?
Well, and I learned last week that Eve wasn't even the first woman.
No.
Is there no bad apples?
Were you aware of it? I mean, are you aware of the story of Lilith? This was news to me last week that Eve was not the
That's her
first
name.
female. That Lilith was the
That's
first
what I was talking
female.
about that last week when I had a few beers with me. I couldn't remember her name.
Yeah, Lilith. Yeah.
And that was news to me. That was something
she was kicked out of the garden because she wouldn't submit to Adam's wishes to be on top, and
Those damn women.
But
That's all I can
so
say.
she was made
Women
the
in
first,
the workplace has ruined the Bible.
but my thought is kind of if you're going to have a Jesus figure sacrifice himself, he shouldn't be resurrected and go to heaven. He should be resurrected and go to hell to burn for all the sins of everybody else. That's a sacrifice.
It is.
If there is a hell, that would be a sacrifice to say,
Well, that's just a temporary
I'm going to go to hell.
I will burn in hell
and I will
for
burn in
eternity.
hell for eternity for you. I will absorb all your sins in hell for you.
Well, how many people make
That's
that
a sacrifice.
sacrifice here, modern day and time, where you accept this sentence or we're going to go after your family?
No one.
right.
It happens here.
Really?
Yeah.
Tommy Chong. When Tommy Chong was arrested for selling bongs on the internet.
Yeah.
They
raided his place.
He was the spokesperson. It wasn't even his business.
Yeah.
They told him that they would go after his family if he didn't plea bargain.
I didn't know
so
that.
he accepted the plea. It's in the documentary The Union on Netflix.
Okay.
Watch it.
'Cause I knew
He
they
accepted the
smashed
plea.
his place
He was
up,
pretty much the
destroyed it.
Dos Equis man of fucking bongs online.
Yeah.
Wasn't it his
Tons of
his
people have
kids
made
that
bigger
ran the place?
sacrifices
Or, like,
than
I thought he had
Jesus.
some
It was, no, they just hired him because of his name.
Oh, really?
Like, hey, be our spokesperson.
He was a representative. It was.
And that's what I'm saying.
It was name recognition.
How much of a sacrifice is it if you know you're going to have to suffer a little bit to save your family?
Dude, you got to give up a weekend to be vice god of the universe forever.
Yeah.
That's no sacrifice.
Like, it's all good. I'm going to bring you back in 3 days, or maybe he didn't know. It was a surprise.
Hey,
Like,
surprise!
Zach,
You're
I
in
brought you back.
heaven.
Like, oh, I thought I was dead.
Well, that's the whole. That's the whole. Is he talking to himself or someone else?
Right.
Yeah,
I think in the 80s is when they started pushing it towards kind of the mono god and combining of the three, because the monotheism seems to be where people want to be, where God, the Holy Ghost.
that makes
Yeah,
less
and
sense.
we've talked about it here on the podcast before that the Trinity makes no fucking sense at all.
The Trinity
Like,
does make no sense.
I mean,
you should have no gods before me, but here's Jesus and a ghost.
Yeah, I've mentioned before that I was dating a girl who, her parents were super devout Catholics, and I spent a couple nights over there having dinner with them, on a few different occasions with them trying to explain the Trinity to me over hours of conversation, and by the end I think they were more confused than I was.
I'm just gonna say, don't disrespect Catholic girls. The world needs them. We need their skirts.
Yeah, that's what it's just
We
the
need
clothes.
those long stockings. You're taking away people's dreams.
Well, here in Utah, the Catholic girls are they're fine.
I dated a girl that would St. Anne's up in Ogden.
Yeah.
Hope.
I've dated a Hope, Faith, and Charity.
Are they all strippers?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Probably now.
But Hope doesn't end in a Y. I'm trying to remember the rule. It would have to be like Hopi.
Should we play another game?
Let's go for it.
Let's do it. Let's see.
Wait, you're not ready for us yet?
Or we could wait for a minute.
Dan has to
Dan's ill
step away
time.
from the mic.
We
for a
had to
second.
step away to the fat colays.
I've got the smallest. I've got the smallest bladder in here, no doubt.
Well, the thing is,
Yeah.
when you're drinking these diuretics, it does.
Yeah.
It goes through you. Like, I'll go out to Wendover. I'll probably pee 3 to 4 times on the way out drinking coffee. Way back, it's just straight through.
Oh yeah.
Coffee
yeah.
like takes it out of me.
Oh,
Of course, I
shit,
should
yeah.
probably
Hell
hydrate
yeah.
before I jump into the coffee. It's like first thing I'm going to do when I wake up is like, I've been
Yeah.
without moisture all night. I'm going to dehydrate myself a little bit more.
Right. Yeah. Coffee's bad, man.
Coffee at least keeps you
and
regular.
tea too. Tea does that.
I
to
have
me.
a thing for hot drinks.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I remember
You'd be a
going to
bad
the,
Mormon.
I remember going to the beer fest. Terrible Mormon. I was. Actually, I got busted playing poker in a church.
What?
Up in Clearfield.
We played poker in church in Wisconsin.
I was playing poker at a Mormon church up
Well,
here
yeah,
in
yeah.
Clearfield.
Mormon though in Wisconsin.
Yeah, Mormon church.
Yeah,
And,
this
like
was
me
Catholic.
and all the kids, we were the little the priest. We're supposed to go tear up the bread, prepare everything for sacrament, and I brought some poker chips and a deck of cards. So we were all sitting up in a room, skip Sunday class, and we're sitting there playing poker. And they walked in and saw us all playing poker. Like, it was free; it wasn't for money. So
Yeah,
we
so
weren't
it's definitely not gambling,
So,
it's just playing
we're
cards.
within the guidelines.
It's
Yeah.
playing a game
Yeah.
for no
Like,
monetary.
I'm just trying to help
gain.
them stimulate their minds. Like, no learning.
Yeah.
No
Right,
learning.
right. Yeah.
Just follow.
Those fuckers and their non-learning wanting.
I was thinking we could. I have, dude.
Well,
we're,
that's what-
we're already over time, but
No, we're good right now. We're still
I
on.
was telling myself, like scripture, it's the next best thing to having an opinion, only easier. In all honesty,
Yeah.
if someone does the thinking for you, it makes it very simple.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like,
true. Yeah, of course.
I'd watch the first 3 minutes of that 8-minute long Phil Robertson video on Sean
Phil
Hannity.
Robertson is fantastic.
Dude, I stopped watching it once he was doing 2 minutes of holding the Bible there.
Yeah,
it
sitting
says
there looking
right
through it.
here,
Like, if you
and
look
then
on
it
this
says
page
right
right here-
here, and then this is what he said.
You
It's
gotta
like,
lick your fingers first. Phil Robertson, they're such a fake. I mean, I'm sure he's
I hate that
probably
guy,
not
man.
the most realistic Christian, but I'm saying even
sure
when it
he
comes to
actually
the
believes it.
when it comes to the Duck Dynasty,
He's-
I mean, those guys were wearing freaking clean shaven, wearing
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
using golf clubs.
Polo shirts, tying their sweaters
Oh, yeah.
around their neck, and
Like, oh hey, we got a TV show, y'all. I guess we
Driving
better
their
go ahead and
Beamers.
country this up.
I honestly think Phil might be more real, but
well, yeah.
Yeah, but I think a lot of Christians aren't very real. I believe that. I mean, it's almost like just tradition. Some of Christians, I think, honestly, kind of believe it, but it'd be hard to believe that. But some of them, I mean, politicians especially, I think they probably
Yeah.
don't believe a damn bit of that.
no.
Yeah.
These are educated
But they
people.
need to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
votes.
Yeah, like I need these votes. Like
Yeah.
if I'm willing to go over here and pretend I like black people, I'll come over here and pretend I like God.
I think it depends on. I mean, like Ted Cruz and Paul Ryan and some of those that are way, way, way on that. Like,
yeah, but usually the
know,
ones that
and
are
those are the
tested the
ones-
hardest are usually the ones that are.
Well, and those are the ones where
yeah, maybe
earlier you
so.
said they're dumb,
Maybe
and,
so.
and then we talked about them being ignorant or dumb, or
Yeah.
ignorant versus dumb. They're willfully ignorant.
They are definitely
choose.
willfully
Yeah.
They
ignorant.
choose to
Yeah,
not
Ted
look at
Cruz is
anything
as
counter to
willfully
what they
ignorant
already
as
believe.
you can be,
Right,
because
yeah.
he
That's what
had
I
like
mean,
a
but-
kind of American mom and wasn't born in America, and
No,
then but
yeah.
yet that dude will protest very hard against immigrants.
Right.
Like your dad is,
Right.
a fucking escaped refugee. Your mom is not on a base. Technically, you shouldn't be able to run for president, but Obama's a Muslim.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that was
He's
the
a Kenyan.
example I was going to say with Obama. You don't get a lot of that. Like he just doesn't like he had an atheist mother and a Christian father or whatever, and
Muslim father.
Muslim father, right?
Well, Bill Maher will always joke about him being an atheist, and I swear I kind of believe it.
But he just never brings it up. It just
Yeah.
never.
But he
doesn't
has
talk about
brought
it
it
too
up.
much. He has brought it up in a political sense. I think that he's
saying
politically
we are a
expedient.
country of Christian,
I think he's
Jews,
politically
Muslims,
expedient.
and atheists.
Right,
Yes.
but that's the thing. But he
Non-believers,
always
yeah, non-believers.
includes. Yeah, he always includes everybody. Where you got like
Yeah.
that's what I mean. The difference between somebody like that, where it's believable that they're kind of
Yeah.
in a position. Like, yeah, maybe he's playing politics a little bit, but at the same time, there's no real. He's not picking sides anywhere.
Yeah.
he's just kind of doing.
Well,
his
he's
thing.
a politician. He's got to play
Sure,
like middle
sure,
field.
sure.
Most
But-
Democrats that are
Sure.
in national office are pretty much middle
Yeah,
of the
of
road.
course. No, I'm not faulting him for that. I think that's the way to go. But I mean, then you got guys like Ted Cruz that are like all over onto one side, and it's just like, dude, what the fuck? Like,
I don't even know
there's
if it's
other
the way
people.
to go. I think it's the path of least resistance.
It's a path
Yeah,
of least
and-
resistance,
and-
but it's a
and-
path.
Fair enough.
A path that always also gets you a built-in constituent.
Right.
I mean, these people. There are people out there just foaming God at the mouth.
Yeah.
Like God needs to come out and God needs to straighten these people out. They're worried there's
Yeah.
not enough God in this world. God is going to make this place collapse if we don't start worshiping Him.
Yeah.
And
There
then
is
you
no
get somebody
God.
that's kind of catering to those people, and they're like, "Yeah, this is our guy, and they will be with you till the end.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
might as well be their new God.
Yeah.
They will
Yeah.
follow you. They
But
will stand up for you. You can sleep with a male hooker; they'll forgive you."
yeah.
But at least it's not like he's not like fire and brimstone. You know what I mean? Like he's just always like, well,
He gets brimstone me on some.
everything's
things.
going to be okay.
Oh, you're saying
All right.
Obama? Yeah,
Yeah.
No, he's not firing.
It's gonna be
brimstone.
fine.
Well, even that "cling to your guns," I found that absolutely hilarious because that
Yeah.
is a common phrase that has been around forever. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean
Right.
guns. It's just saying,
No, of course.
stick
Well,
to your
and
traditions.
his
Yeah.
But of course, the public news stations have to act like, "Oh, he's talking about guns,"
and
like,
his
you
comment
know what it means.
almost 2 weeks ago where he was talking about Foley and his beheading and that he couldn't see that any just God would allow that to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right. Which is true.
I heard that and I went,
has-
my ears pricked up. I was like, ooh.
I know. Yeah.
I don't know if any just God would allow that to happen,
course
but then again, that's where you get into a whole different theory of God. Because I mean, I don't believe in God, but maybe the God that you believe in, that superpowered, isn't necessarily the one that there is. Maybe there's a creator, but not a controller.
Well, maybe a just Christian God because he's from New Hampshire, or a just
Maybe.
Muslim God would do that, but
Or
not
a
a
pacifist
merciful
God who's just
not
like-
a merciful God.
Well, and
Pacifist
what,
God is like, I'll let you do your own thing.
Right.
and
right.
what kind of just God, whether he's just or not, what kind of God would allow that kind of thing to happen anyway? And the fact that you would choose to worship somebody who would allow that shit
Yeah.
to happen,
Yeah.
to me,
Yeah.
is horrific.
Yep. Yeah.
That's fucking awful.
Did anybody happen to hear Ted Cruz's very off-color remark this past week?
What kind of off color was it?
Was it pink?
Well,
They have a lot of pink
it might have
remarks.
been more red.
That would be communist. So.
Oh, right.
Well, you guys probably all have seen by now that story where that young girl at that shooting range accidentally shot the instructor
Yes,
with a
yes,
Uzi.
yeah.
Ted Cruz, right after that happened at a rally, made the comment saying, "Here in Texas, we hit what we aim at."
Oh, wow.
So it's all the little girl's fault. She's
Wow.
fucking stupid.
Yeah, she's
That she was given an Uzi.
Uzi, and it's not her fault. Well, we here in Texas, we don't got that problem because we hit what we aim at.
It's not her fault. Her
Well-
parents weren't born in Texas.
That's clearly
Well, it
pandering
seems
to
like
the
there's a
Texas
strange,
crowd.
Cruz
there's a
is an
strange
awful human
mix of
being.
politics and guns as of late. I mean, when half the campaign ads are like, "Look how I hold this rifle,"
Yeah.
or if you have Mitch McConnell at an
Yeah.
NRA rally talking about, "Oh, they won't let us assemble anymore in front of this 80,000 people."
Yeah.
Look at my gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, weird.
All right, let's play a game. Let's get more happy here.
All right, you ready?
I love happy. I am happy. I do not know. I don't. What do you mean more happy? There's happiness for me. Right?
You're a militant
you've been,
atheist. You can't be
I
happy.
am militant atheist. I am happy.
You're
I'm
a
happy
black
when things
man.
are
You're
going
supposed to be angry.
bad. Little white girls shooting up white men. I like that. More white girls for us all. Oh, no hell. No hell.
All right, what are we playing?
We are we're going to continue Bible, Book of Mormon, or Quran.
Okay.
And when she lifted her eyes, she saw her son. She lighted off a camel.
I'm still going to go Bible.
It is Bible.
Ding, ding, ding. Noodles.
Light it off.
She lighted off a camel.
Like she got off of the camel, I'm guessing.
Lighted
I'm not
off?
sure what the
Sounds like
translation.
it.
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah.
like lighted would be lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she shot off of it. Yeah, maybe.
I'm like, unless the camel was referring to a firework.
I know.
Or a
I know.
cigarette. Like, is it a crush? Can you make it menthol?
That's awesome. I got this great firework. It's called
like
the camel.
menthol.
We're gonna light it off.
I just lighted it off.
It's a cool camel. I try to pick some different ones. And I did not slay the wild beasts, so I did not obtain food for my families.
Mormon.
What was it?
I think
Sorry.
everyone missed that
Yeah,
one.
Quran.
That's why I just yelled one out.
And I did not slay the wild beasts, so I did not obtain food for my families.
Was it Quran?
That's the Book of Mormon.
It is the Book of Mormon.
That's what I said.
I know.
the first time.
Answer him.
Ryan did say it.
Did he get it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
he
you guys
did say
weren't
it.
listening. But I think even still, he
We'll give
probably
it-
would have
he
gotten
should
that
get- he
before
should
you
get-
did
he should
anyway.
get the noodle.
Yeah,
'cause he was paying
you deserve that
attention.
noodle, Ryan.
So we still have a tie, and
earned that noodle.
Dan is getting slaughtered.
That's
today.
right.
When he could, I should just give it to you because you got like no points right now.
Yeah, but if you gave it to him, then I'd be winning.
That's true. Yeah, you guys are tied at 6.
True. Yeah, we're all tied up now.
And Dan has
Eyes
2
locked.
still.
You invited me to this.
I know I did.
You brought this on yourself.
Oh shit!
Like Will Smith talking about sex with Jada Pinkett. I can't remember which. No, you ever grab a girl by the back of your head like, you brought this on yourself.
I have done that.
I try to do the very progressive forearm to the face.
Right.
Like, you like it this way. 50
Stop
Shades
struggling.
of Grey.
Stop struggling. Oh,
Put down that whistle. That's bad.
no hell, no.
Don't worry. This is usually the way this podcast goes at about this hour.
I know. So now that we have no more female listeners, we'll continue with our games.
Ladies, when you were listening, I loved you, but now you got to go. It's about to get real Mad Men in here. I'm Don Draper.
All right. If you fear that ye shall not be able to deal justly with the orphans, marry women of your choice. 2 or
Quran.
3
Quran.
or 4. It is
Quran.
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 Smell dang that.
Yep, Temell got it.
Dang, dang.
He did
We
get it.
talked about that a few weeks ago, saying the Quran you're legally allowed to marry
I was
4
almost
women.
going to go Book of Mormon just because of the multiple women.
Yeah, I
But
was
Yeah.
hoping that would pull some people.
when he said marry women of your choice, I'm like,
Yeah, correct.
no,
No,
God's
yeah,
got to
you can't
choose.
just do
That's
that.
got to be.
Your wife has to agree until she doesn't, and then God will smite her.
Right. Yep. Yeah, that one is Quran. Good job, Temell. You're in the lead now.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Fuck.
I like to let the guests win.
Yeah, whenever we bring
You're doing
guests on, they
excellent- you're
kick our
doing an excellent
ass.
job.
Yeah, I know. Last time we had Sarah, and she smoked you guys too.
Sarah kicked our ass.
The quotes have
Connie
me a little
kicked
bit
our
off,
ass.
but-
I usually fuck up on the quotes.
Especially, I mean, you only have so much room in your brain. So, like,
Yeah, it's true,
I'm
it's
kind
true.
of slowly looking at like politics and stuff or inventors. So then, when it comes to like kind of random, obscure-ish 1919 quotes,
Yeah. When you're
That's all.
coming,
I have porn occupying so much.
I know. Well, and you're
my
coming in
brain.
at a disadvantage because we've done a number of these, and so now I'm kind of. That's not like the most prominent people.
I'm like, I'm a
ever. I try to-
preschooler in calculus.
All right.
1 + 1.
Last one in this category. God especially dislikes people who pretend to believe when they're around believers,
Bible.
But
and then don't believe
Oh, it's
when
not
they
that
hang
bad.
out with devils.
I was thinking Bible right off the bat too.
Still go Bible.
Quran.
It is Quran.
Oh,
You did need that. You did need that.
Yeah,
that's 3 for Dan.
I'm
Dan
hanging
gets a
back
noodle.
So that you guys get the wrong answer.
All right,
Filter it
Temell's still in
down.
the lead.
You're taking my technique now.
It's all strategy. Except we're running out of questions. So
Although,
my
no,
strategy's failing.
I've got a bunch.
All right.
We actually
for
could probably
days.
do.
We got more questions than we got time for.
Yeah,
More
Well,
questions
actually,
than
you know,
time.
we're
I'm
getting
gonna
close.
Give me one more quick squeezing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, so Temell's got 7, Ryan's got 6, and Dan has 3 at this point.
That's right.
Aw, shit.
And I have 2 more who said it's.
I'm going to sneak up on you.
That's my worst one. Is a who said it?
I know, and that's all I've got left. I thought I would have more games than we needed tonight, but Temell's been such a great guest.
Oh, yeah.
It's been fun.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. I was. You said something first.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say we're at 2 hours.
We are at 2 hours right now.
I know a lot of people don't like the long podcasts, but
So if you don't like the long podcast,
Listen to half of it.
Yep.
Save the
Yeah.
other half.
Yep. And
Yeah.
then I've also had comments that that the last few have been too short at an hour or an hour 20.
Yeah.
So we can't please
never
everybody.
please
but
everybody.
yeah, it's okay. But
We hope
just-
we hope
kinda
you
go by
still
feel-
like the
yeah,
content of the show at least.
We'll just go by feel, you know. And I think we're having a lot
I
of
think
fun.
we're rolling,
tonight.
yeah.
Yeah. Temell's been great. I like even when we start to get heavy, he always has kind of a joke to bring in or some way to lighten it up, and it's been a lot of fun. So
Yeah, we haven't gotten really down this evening.
yeah, we haven't hit that rabbit hole, but I think we've hit some serious stuff. But
Oh, yeah.
but yeah.
Sometimes we avoid
Kinda keeping
talking
us
about
up
those
a
people
little
we
bit.
don't like to talk about.
Well, I wanted to quickly say, as the leading Utah black liberal atheist
As the
lesbian,
representative of my people.
I appreciate.
Like-
no, I mean,
like
I
that you
honestly
throw that in
appreciate
there.
what you guys doing. This is the most fun I've had in a long time.
No, it's
Awesome.
awesome.
Just being able to sit around and talk to people and
Yeah.
let the shell down.
Yeah, right.
It's nice, right? It's cathartic.
It is.
It's
Yeah,
just it's relaxing. It's just
I know we all have a good time.
you just
every
breathe like
That's
we
why
were
I always say. I mean, the meetups, meet people similar philosophies on life, and I mean, it relaxes you.
Yeah.
'Cause I think when I was just kind of doing just the, I'm around Christian people, and I'm just keeping it all up inside.
it's got to be hard,
the
man.
mom
Yeah.
and-
Well, I even know for like the longest time when I would hang out with you at different parties and stuff, I never knew you were atheist until one night I was talking to him. He goes, Temell's an atheist too. I'm like, what? Really? Because it's not a subject that usually goes on at parties
it
where it's
doesn't.
not the predominant.
And that's where it's
culture
like
of the
a
parties.
Yeah.
So that's
I mean, that's where I kind of talk about, somewhat the militantism. Like, sometimes I'm like it, but I try to, I don't want to get all in people's faces. I love people. I think, as an atheist, you love humanity and you want to try to keep things light and upbeat. Right. There's a lot of bad things going on in the world.
Yeah.
and sometimes you
I
hold
love
back
people
from
too.
the.
I love people too. I'm kind of a people person. I like to hang out with people for the most part. I have a problem when I hear people say dumb shit.
I do too. Absolutely.
Like I'll hang out with you all day long. Even the missionaries. Mm-hmm. They can come around. We can talk about soccer. We can talk about whatever other interests they have. And when they get all fucking doom and gloom, and you're going to hell, and
Yeah.
you're an atheist and you need to be redeemed, all that kind of shit. I'm like, we can talk about whatever else you want. You want to bring up religion anymore? You're gonna just have to fucking
Yeah,
leave,
we're just
man.
gonna
Because
have to
that's
stop that part.
yeah. We'll have to stop because I think that's bullshit.
Yeah.
We can relate as human beings. You don't have to. I mean, I know you're out here doing God's work and you're doing your job and what you think you should be doing, but I'm not at all interested in that. And if you are and you want to continue that kind of conversation, you're going to have to do it with somebody else because that's not my bag, baby.
I think it's kind of weird too. Is they put their own personal philosophy on it. I mean, they take the
Oh,
scripture.
everybody-
and they can tell you
every
details,
religious person
This
does.
is how the devil acts. This is what God does. No. This is the plan. Like, where does it say that? Like, show me a quote. Highlight something.
How do you know that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
How
they
did
just
you arrive at this
intuit
conclusion?
things.
That's why I always I dislike the preconceived notion that most religious people have that it's their duty to convince everyone else their religion is the right religion. You have to get into it or else you're going to
That's
hell
where
and I'm trying
organized
to
religion
save you.
comes in. That's where organized
Yeah.
religion
Yeah.
comes in. And I like to teach my children, even about religion. I am not religious. I know about religion. I tell them about Martin Luther.
Yeah.
I'm there was a time when they didn't want common people reading the Bible.
Yep.
Oh,
You
yeah.
had to go somewhere where somebody more educated
somebody
than
could
you
explain
could
it to
tell it
you.
to you.
Shit, there
And
was
I'm
a
like,
time
why do you
they
think
didn't want
that?
black people reading the Bible.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They didn't want black people reading, but
Reading.
or women,
Yeah.
but
Or women.
like you're
Right.
rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, rich, white, straight men.
Well, I mean, at one time, all books were
Still
written
the
in a
same.
language that the common person could not read. You had to be of wealthy, of influence in order to be able to read it because it was witten in a language you could read.
They always like to have signs of affluence, like
Yeah.
and hell, you can read. Oh, educated.
Yeah.
yeah.
Aren't you special?
You
I
could
must
just see
listen
the
to what you
secrets.
say. Yeah.
Like, oh, I do not believe to be in your midst. I'm saying that. I mean, there's always the silly talk about taking away guns when it comes to amendments and stuff. But yeah, the right to organize and the right to free speech, being able to talk about things like the Bible, like Martin Luther fought for, even though, like I said, not religious, but I can understand a person. I respect a man's hustle,
Yeah.
as they say.
Yeah.
Like he had something that he believed in, which is everybody should be able to read this, and people burned for that. People burned for me to be able to read. People died
Yeah.
for me to be able to vote.
And I believe
these are
everyone
things
should be able
that
to
we
read it
take for
too.
granted.
Yep.
Yeah. Everyone should be able to read it to see the bullshit that's inside of it.
At least,
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. That's what they're fighting against.
Or at least to decide for themselves.
Yeah, decide for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what that is one thing that I will tell my children. Decide for yourself. Don't do what... I mean, I think they're going to kind of have it different because I think similar the way that I did. My parents were on the same level. If you have 2 people or 4 levels bringing the same thing at you, grandparents, parents, man, they're all right. This must be true.
Yeah, and I've always tried to stress that with my kids. Don't take my word for it.
Yep.
I'll give you my opinion if you ask me, but don't just take my word for it.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yep.
I'm wrong all the fucking time. I'll tell you what I think and why I think that, but I could be fucking wrong. Go out and do the research yourself. If you need some help, I can point you
But at
to different
least
resources.
you'll tell them why you think that and give them resources because religions, regardless
And
of what people
I
say,
won't say
don't.
no. This is the way it is because.
They'll say, nah, well, their because is just pray on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is our
dogmatic.
Yeah, I've always tried to have my kids know that this is my opinion and this is how I arrived at this opinion or belief and here's why. But don't just take my word for it. Fucking go out and do the research yourself. Look at different things. Learn about different religions. Learn about why there are, tens of thousands of Christian sects just here in the United States. People don't fucking agree on all this stuff. That's why there are so many different sects. That's why there's so many denominations. It's not just my opinion and it's bullshit. Everybody from one religion to another thinks the other religion is bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I've had 2 friends, that I grew up with, partiers, that met the right Mormon girl, beautiful woman that, they wanted to become Mormon for. And both of them ended up being divorced. One of my friends, he was, going to church, doing all the thing. One day he showed up at my house. I'm like, dude, ain't you supposed to be at church today? Which, the next week later, he's freaking divorced. His wife went and said, hey, he didn't show up to church. Supposedly, from what her bishop said, was like, well, you know what you need to do. But my other friend, he's dating this Mormon girl. He's trying to do the thing. I mean, he's one of these guys that goes all in for a girl. His wife that he's with now, she's a doctor, brilliant. He loves the hell out of her. But, he's dating this girl, and he has questions. He's like, hey, I'm trying to do this Mormon thing for you, but I got some questions. So he asked, the bishop these questions, and he told him you're thinking too much.
Yeah.
You need to just pray on it.
You're thinking, when has that ever been a real problem?
That's
You're
what I'm
thinking
saying.
too much.
Anytime that you're a part of something that tells you are thinking too much, you are
Stop
involved in
thinking.
something wrong.
Yeah.
Just do what I tell you to do. Pray.
Reverend Maynard.
Yeah, and I've done that in the past. I mean, after I stopped going to church, the only times that I've returned are for weddings, funerals, or because I was dating some chick who was LDS, and I wanted to make her happy.
There's a
because
couple
she's
things
really
that I've
cute.
seen my kids do, but I don't go to many of their programs. Like, they're working to do the new thing in the temple in Ogden, and I'm like, I'm not going to that. Which, I kind of find that funny. I've heard people at work talking about that temple and how beautiful it is. I'm like, have you never seen a Catholic temple? Have you never seen the Sistine Temple?
Those
there's
are way
beautiful
more beauty in those.
But, it's such an isolated place. You got people here that have been born here, have never left here, maybe took a little trip for a small vacation when they were a child, but you don't know anything other than Utah.
Oh, yeah.
You would not know that there's another
Tracy's
world.
daughter, for her senior present, her aunt... Tracy's daughter is currently in Europe. They went to Germany, Denmark. They're traveling all over Europe, and she's been taking these phenomenal pictures of these old cathedrals and churches and everything. They're gorgeous.
Well,
man.
These are built by Renaissance artists.
Oh hell yeah!
You're looking at
They're
Leonardo,
gorgeous buildings,
Michelangelo buildings,
and then you come to Utah and people, that temple in Brigham City is beautiful.
Take
No,
a look.
it's really not. It's kind of a fucking eyesore.
Take a look at the stucco.
Well,
The temples are pretty nice still.
I'm
some
saying
of
that
them,
they're
sure.
not
I
nice.
think the Salt Lake Temple is a beautiful building, but
you
look at the other cookie cutter shit that they've got in fucking Bountiful.
Where they tried to make it out to be like a
Brigham City.
life-changing observation.
Right,
I'm you were looking. This
I know
Renaissance.
what you mean.
Yeah.
But
Well, one thing I was thinking the other day when I was driving past that new temple in Ogden was, I remember like 3 years ago, a hotel wanted to build down there, and they wanted to build so many stories high, but they're told, you are not allowed to build anything over this many stories
The
here.
height ordinance.
Yet they built that new temple twice the size of every fucking building around it with no fucking questions of the fucking ordinance on how high.
Well, it's even like the same with the selling of
Well, you don't
Main
want to
Street with
trample on
Didi
their religious
Corradini.
rights.
Right.
But then at the same time, you take a look at it, now they're starting to purchase up buildings around there. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not trying to be conspiratorial like freaking Rick Perry, but I mean, there's something interesting going on there. That abandoned warehouse that's been sitting there forever. When we went and seen the Expendables 3 over the weekend and got to see the wonderful 16 Stones trailer, you get to kind of take a look at some of the work they're doing outside of around there, and like, it's interesting.
Or how they want to build something down there, and all of a sudden, a number of bars and gentlemen clubs all get shut down.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot to do with Walmart, but
Because they're zoning on it, saying, well, we're going to rezone this whole area for this place, and guess what? All of you got to close within like a 10-mile
gentleman
radius.
club that they used to have there. I mean, I was kind of buddies with the owner of it, so me and him talked about it. You know, when he's forced to make it into a sports bar, then of course it's closed. Now it's another Walmart, which brings you into a whole other conversation.
Yeah. And now one of the guys I work with owns the place as his CrossFit gym.
Yeah, I think Jimenez was telling me about
Yeah, Nelson.
that. Yeah.
Yay, capitalism.
That's good. That's a whole other conversation again.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back for that.
So it was once a strip club, and now it's a CrossFit gym.
So we'll let Dan pick where he wants to play on this. We have 2 more Who Said It's.
Okay.
If you win both, Dan, you still are in 3rd place. So
Well, then.
not to take the wind out of it, but Temell's in 1st, and just 1 point behind is Ryan.
Yeah.
Let the black man win.
For once, would you?
Once.
It may not be an option.
I just want to be the man of honor. I want them. 12 steps cookie.
Well, you've already been a great guest. It's been a lot of fun.
You're lucky because I suck at these.
And I will tell you, this one's going to be hard.
I always know them when it's not my turn.
This one's going to be tough. So you get to pick your spot on where you want to guess on this one.
All 5 clues.
So do you lose noodles with the negatives?
Nope.
Okay, just checking.
Negative just means you can name the person and however
You get
many
extra,
words.
don't you?
I'm just trying to keep track of my noodles.
Yeah. You're at 7. Ryan's got 6. And Dan's got 3.
That's right.
So, do you
Quick and feed.
want the quote, or do you want Ryan to have the quote and
I'll
try to
take the
guess?
quote.
Or okay,
He's going for the
this is a tough one, I think.
All right.
The quote is, "The actions of men are the best interpreters of their thoughts." 3 clues, could go -3. 3 words.
Actions of men.
I'm going to say 3 clues.
3 clues. All right. He says 3 clues, Temell. So you can either say 2 clues if you think you can get it,
Or you can make Dan
or you
answer
can
it.
let him answer. All right. Okay, Dan. The quote is, again, "The actions of men are the best interpreters of their thoughts." Clue number 1 is born February 2nd, 1882.
Oh, 1882.
Rathgar, Republic of Ireland.
Holy fuck.
1882 in Ireland. All right.
That
Clue
seems-
2, spouse. Nora Barnacle.
Barnacle.
That was a huge help.
Is she on the bottom of a
It
boat?
never is. The spouse is never.
The spouse, like, who keeps track of the spouse of whomever they want to?
The Mormons.
Yeah. All that fucking genealogy.
The Mormons. That was great.
And clue 3, died January 13, 1941 in Zurich, Switzerland. He's an author.
He was not lying. This is a fucking hard one.
Yeah. The author thing
Because-
I threw in there for you.
I've got no clue.
I think you'll know his name, but I doubt anyone here will guess.
Say the quote again.
The actions of men are the best interpreters of their thoughts. He's an atheist.
And died again when?
He died January 13, 1941 in Zurich, Switzerland.
He was born like 1887, he said?
1882
1882.
in Ireland.
Ireland.
Author.
That's like 4 years before the Civil
Year of
War.
the Nick.
That's not a bad show either. I've been watching that at work.
I enjoy it.
I have no idea. I'm going to throw out a wild guess and say Thoreau, but
It's not Thoreau. No. So Temell gets another point.
Temell gets another
noodle.
point,
More
and the
noodles.
answer is
James Joyce.
I don't know who the fuck. The only Joyce I know is that
Never
stupid
would've
woman
guessed
on the
that.
TV that tries to sell you on to God.
I didn't even know Joyce was
Nancy
an atheist.
No, not Grace.
She's looking for the missing white
No,
girl.
she's she's on a news program. There's that. If you watch
News in air quotes.
yeah,
She's
program.
looking for the missing white girl, and she wants to know what kind of porn he was watching.
Right. Yeah.
no, that Joyce woman's the one that like you turn on like the Discovery Channel at like 8 o'clock in the morning. She's got her show on. They're talking about how you need God.
Oh,
Nice. You do need God.
yeah, you do.
That Pat Robertson, that's a different.
That
I
guy's-
like that guy. That's old school America.
He's crazy.
He is.
He's crazy, but every now and then he'll throw out a nugget of wisdom. And I'm like, fuck, I hate
He'll throw out
that I
a
agree with
nugget.
Matt
He'll
Robertson
throw out a
and all
nugget
this.
of comedy, though. I remember listening to this kid talk about how his dad would sleep with his mom, and he's playing video games, and he's like, maybe your mom let herself go, and she's not making sure. Like, you cannot buy that type of misogynism in this modern day. I mean, that's straight back to, three fingers with lunch.
Pat's kooky.
I still every time I talk to my old ass dad, like he won't watch regular cable news or anything. He's just like, I'll just watch that Christian network news or whatever. I think they're pretty good.
Those
They're
guys-
pretty. I'm like,
Really? Christian
The
television
Christian
is
News
something
Network,
different.
I'm sure they have no bias whatsoever.
yeah. Is it different? Is that's not Pat Robertson?
Oh no! I'm not saying
There's
it's
a
not.
few
I'm
of
just
those
saying
channels.
that it's the Christian network is just different to me. I mean, I remember
Oh yeah.
living in Ogden, young, had a kid, didn't really have money, so I just had broadcast television.
Yeah.
Right.
And watching Brother Benny Hinn slapping
Oh,
people on their
geez.
foreheads like
Yeah.
drive-by shootings and just passing it on stage. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow.
That's
My-
some
this
of the
dude-
stuff that I've seen
Yeah.
some like remixes of Benny Hinn's greatest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but that
To,
was
like,
one of the
Mortal
things
Kombat.
That was one of the things that kind of opened my eyes because I'm sitting
Finish
there
him.
telling this guy, I'm telling a guy I work with about Benny Hinn, like how ridiculous it was. Just saying, yeah, there's this Indian dude just slapping people on their forehead, and this dude I worked with, he wasn't the most educated of people, but he comes out, he's like, "Oh, you're talking about Brother Benny Hinn." I'm like, "Good God,
Brother Benny Hinn.
Like there are regular people that follow this man. I mean, I thought it had to be a joke. It's like a freaking parody on television. You can't drive by and knock people out.
I met somebody who actually
He'd be
believes
like
this
the
shit.
ultimate
That's
MMA
crazy.
fighter. He just run up there and bless you, and then you're getting healed and he won the fight. Fight of the night, knockout bonus.
Yeah, it's like the guy having the exorcism done to him, and his cell phone rings, and he stops. And he's like, hello? Okay.
I'm
Lays back on
performing
the
an
floor and-
exorcism.
No, it was the guy having the exorcism performed on him.
He's on the floor writhing
Yeah.
and shit.
His cell phone
That'd be the
Oh,
last
get out,
exorcism,
demons.
part 3.
Yeah, he answers his cell phone in the middle of the exorcism, everyone stops.
Like, oh, I guess
Then he
the
hangs
demon's out.
up, puts the phone back in his phone, and starts fucking vibrating again.
Well, that's what I kind of think about sometimes. Like when you hear about the old miracles, like how much of that was showmanship? How much
Oh, yeah.
was like,
Like
hey, here's a golden
magician.
nugget, here's a
Yeah,
a
that was the
bronze.
movies of those days.
Among
yeah.
people
That's what
who
I'm saying.
had
Like, this is
absolutely,
theater.
Yep. Yeah,
who
theater,
had
yeah.
absolutely no exposure to anything
Yeah,
else.
exactly.
I mean,
No
that's what I
knowledge
try
of
to tell my
anything like
children
this
too.
ever
I'm like,
happening before.
there was
Come
not
from the
television,
villages,
there
yeah.
wasn't internet, there wasn't really books.
was
Everybody
nothing,
didn't know how to read.
Yeah.
No.
People were standing on a freaking bucket preaching to people because they didn't have shit to do. I'm like, yeah, listen to this.
And
Well,
they're
yeah.
still
An hour.
doing it from the podium today.
Yeah.
One of
Yep.
the first coin-operated machines was a machine where you drop a coin into it. Well, you'd say a prayer and then you drop a coin into it. If your prayer was answered, the bird would whistle. But the thing is the thing would collect so many coins till it weighed so much, it would drop the coin, which would cause water to flow through it and make the whistle go on the bird. So if you were like the fifth person in line every fucking time, your prayer was always answered because there was enough weight for the thing to go. But it would have you coming back next week because if you, like 1 out of 5 would have their prayer answered. So someone would
Yay,
keep
I'll be
coming
riding
back
a
and
unicorn to
back
work
and
Well,
back.
if you keep them like a fortune cookie, they're probably
Yeah.
going to be answered.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah,
brings
like
us
the
back to what I was
magic
saying
8 ball.
earlier. Like when I say, what's the difference between a religion and a cult? Stature. If you come from a prominent family, if you have money, then you're godly.
Yeah.
You can be, you can be the president of the church if you're a well-bred family. If you're just some random dude that doesn't make much money and you're telling people to follow you, then you're a cult leader.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's crazy.
Right. Yep.
Yep.
All right, Dan. Last one.
Last one.
All right, this will put me in the lead for sure, right?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you have the
Daily
choice. No matter what you choose, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I think even a double, I'd be fucked.
A daily double would get you a tie for second.
All right.
If Ryan's okay with that.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter, whatever.
Do it.
I'm anti-daily double because I can see with my mathematics skills that Ryan can't catch up unless there's a daily double.
Well,
Yep.
but
So if I get it, I win.
only if he has the choice.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, so he,
But,
no matter.
I'm
But if he gets the
I don't
question
want to
right,
make
that's
this
still a daily double.
I don't want to make this game irrelevant.
I just don't
but
want to.
it kind of is.
We made
is
it irrelevant
I've
last
won. I've won.
So
People at home listening, I've won. Don't let him take this from me.
what do you want? Do you want the quote or what position do you want on this last one of who said it?
Let's give it to Terrell.
No, it's Temell. But
Sorry.
I've been
Sorry.
Terrell many a time.
Sorry,
It's better
Terrell.
than Temel, which my old typing teacher used to say to me. I'm like, I can. Just the way it demasculated me. It's like,
I called him
Temel.
Temel the first time. Temel the first time. So
Temel is
Thinking
kind
about
of a
those
unique
camels.
name.
Oh, it's unique.
For some reason.
Except for there's one other dude that has it. He played football for North Carolina. I sent him an email one day.
Really?
He's like, oh, that is the only one. I'm like, yeah, me too.
are you also a black atheist in Utah?
He's a
Please.
black guy. He wasn't in Utah. He could have been from Utah, but that'd be odd.
All right.
Mom, how many brothers?
So Temel gets the quote. Mm-hmm. Dan says, "All right, Temel.
I'm on it.
I love this. I love
This century.
I love.
No, I'm just
I
kidding.
love this one too. I hope somebody gets it because I love this one. Here's your quote: "The only position that leaves me with no cognitive dissonance is atheism." There are 3 clues and 3 works.
This quote. This quote sounds familiar, and I have a tickle in my throat.
And Stan is choking. He
Jesus.
just finished all of his drinks, and we got no more
We
left.
go 3. Squeeze the lime.
Squeeze the line. Yeah,
I would say
really-
you're turning red, but I can't tell.
I was red anyway.
a lot of respect for this person.
I'll go with the 3.
3. Good opening bid. All right, right guy. He gives you 3. Yeah, you got a shot here. Dan's out of it, but you got a shot. He's still playing, but
I'm trying to think of who you really admire, because that's a clue in its own.
yeah, that's probably an unfair clue for
Me.
yeah.
Because you know him.
Yeah. Yeah. I apologize. I'm a bad host.
There's no home court.
I'm a bad host.
All right, Temel, answer it.
I got 3.
Okay.
Either
He's
way,
got
you
3.
get 1 point.
Daily.
All right.
There's not a daily.
Here's the quote.
I know I've heard this quote.
Here's the
before.
quote again. The only position that leaves me with no cognitive dissonance is atheism. Clue number 1. Born November 13, 1969, Mogadishu, Somalia.
Oh.
I think Ryan knows it. Or thinks he does.
No?
Thinks he-
Not Somalia. I was thinking of someone else.
Okay, never mind. He does that a lot.
Yeah.
Clue number 2.
I make noises.
Spouse, Niall Ferguson. Clue number 3.
Ah.
Educated at Leiden University.
I think I know who it is.
You go with John Ferguson. Was that her maiden name?
It is not John Ferguson.
Okay, thank you.
No. So Noodle goes to Ryan.
Is it Ayan Hersey?
It is Ayan Hersey Ali. It is, yes.
See, okay, so her maiden name.
So Temel wins.
Still one.
Good job.
Temel wins by 1 Noodle.
Thank you.
You've been a great guest.
That was a close
That was
one,
close.
though.
I love
I really
Ayan
need to
Hersey
actually
Ali.
get up
She's
on
pretty
quotes.
awesome.
I don't focus on quotes. Like
No,
I'll,
I know.
I'll have an idea of people's political careers,
Right.
the different things they've done, but
It's just-
quotes, I'm like,
It's just games I make to kind of
oh, it's all
keep
good.
it fun. And,
No, there's some
whatever.
quotes that I found very interesting.
Yeah,
I don't
but,
really.
we've already
memorize
done
them, but-
Dawkins, Hitchens, Harris. All the big
Yeah.
ones. We've already kind of. But I love
Nixon,
I love
Jim
Ayan Hersey Ali.
Jeffries, and then just
I've done Jeffries already.
some Seth MacFarlane.
The funny thing is I
I've
open
done
every
Seth?
show with
I
a
don't
quote.
I think I
done-
did.
I don't
I think I
think
did
we've
do
done-
Seth.
Did we?
Yeah, I think we did do Seth.
In a Stewie voice?
No,
Maybe early, like maybe the first one.
No,
or
I think
two.
it was. I think it was a week or 2 ago. I did Seth.
Really?
Yeah,
Any scientists, 'cause I'm pretty
Hey,
certain they're all atheists, the real ones.
yeah. But all right, our big winner is Temel.
Is there
Temell
anything?
Buggs. with 2 G's.
I won noodles, 2
Congratulations,
G's, BUGGS, y'all.
Yeah, you got 8 noodles. I think
What?
that might be one of the bigger winners of the.
I think that's going to quell some of the anger.
I think I had 10 or
Yeah, just
11.
been quelled.
I had 10 or 11 last week.
Well, I think
did
we
you?
added 2 weeks up one time, didn't we?
against Ryan.
Yeah, that don't count.
But no, that's not what I meant.
I don't count.
Fuck you.
I'm the noodle winner. I set the record. I'm Kanye West. I'm going to let you finish.
I'm going to let you finish with your little game here.
I'm going to let you finish, but I got the most noodles.
So just
I meant of our guests competing
Yes.
against.
Oh, yeah,
I was
yeah.
just gonna
Competing
say,
against the 2 of you.
it's about that time
Sarah
again
did
this
pretty
week.
good,
But
yeah.
you have any closing things you want to say at all, Temell, or
You have any plugs you want to?
I don't know if you.
I'd just like to reiterate that it's been a great experience being here with you, gentlemen, having this conversation. It's like therapy for free. It's free therapy. I'd like to plug this podcast, Godless Rebelution, on it.com. I don't know.
Thank you very much for coming
I'd like to plug
on.
more interracial marriages with white
Yes.
women.
Yes.
More children at the gun range.
It's been a pleasure.
Oh,
Always with the jokes, man. Always with the jokes. I'm pro interracial marriage. Yeah, let's plug that.
I don't care. Just marry who you want to marry.
Yeah.
Just bang away, kids, is what I say. just don't procreate.
Oh, real quick before we go, Atheists of Utah is doing their annual summer combined secular organization picnic this Sunday, I believe at 5
The
o'clock. You can
7th?
find details at Facebook, or you can find details on Facebook and or Meetup for Atheists of Utah. You may also be able to find it on the Atheists of Utah website at atheistofutah.org. It'll be at Sunnyside Park, and we hope to see you out there.
I also want to plug. We haven't done this in a while, but the Godless Rebelution homeless clothing drive.
yeah.
We, I have stacks of stuff in my house that me and Danielle put together. We got a bunch of stuff ready to go. We got shoes, we got shirts, we got pants, we got socks, we got all kinds of stuff. So, look, it's going to get cold soon. Give us give it your shit that you don't need. Go through your closet. I know you got it. You got a bunch of shit you don't need that they do. Let us have it. We'll hand it out. It's going to be fun.
And once again, we're still going to try to get an event together to where we can actually get someplace and get out there to actually collect clothes for people who live locally.
Right. They need it.
I mean,
It's going to get cold.
Yep.
Come here in October time frame, it's going to be down 30, 40 degrees at night. So
Yeah.
Yep. And if you don't, and you're living in your house and you're looking at your walls every time you go to bed, feel bad. Okay? Because they don't have that shit. So you got to go through your closet, give it to me. I'll give it to them. Help us out. Let's do it.
it doesn't
Feel the
cost
guilt,
you but
people.
$5 to put
For
a
real.
jacket into a box and send it out here.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. We'll do all the
Or
stuff
even
for
do
you.
it in your own community. Like we said before, you don't have to send it here, but do it in your own community. If you got extra clothes,
That too.
just go out and find someone that needs it, that looks like they're like, you're cold. Here's something warm to wear to get you through the cold nights.
Yeah, Wayne Talento. I know you're listening on the East Coast. Set it up, man. Set it up, dude. I know you're listening. Yeah, we'll get it done. We got a lot of stuff. All right, so we'll get that going.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Thanks very much. Thanks so much to Temell. Excuse me.
You're one of the good ones.
Oh my god. Temell
Yeah, my
Buggs.
mom in the hard name, but she's a loving woman.
Temell Buggs with 2 G's. I feel like a horrible person.
No, you shouldn't. It's been slaughtered.
No, yeah.
I mean, it's almost. I don't want to compare it to the Gaza, but
Always with the jokes.
I know
No,
it's terrible.
You've been a great guest, man.
Thank you very much for coming on tonight, Temell. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me.
Bye, y'all.
Later until next week.
Bye.
Sayonara.